Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of Super Rugby Pacific. This one taking place between the Blues and Moana Pasifika. Now, these two sides have already met throughout this season, but this is pretty much, I guess, the equivalent for Moana as their big playoff game, because if they don't manage to win this contest, they will struggle to make it into the top 8. There will be more separation. As you can see there, the Blues would move up onto 31 or 32 points. And then Moana, if they don't receive a bonus point, will be outside of a big victory towards getting into that top 6. So this has to be a win here. They are at home in this contest up against the Blues. They've got a good side. They can get it done, but it's whether or not this occasion does get the better of them. Looking through at their lineup for this contest, it is going to be Tui Piloto in the front row alongside Sana Revi, and then Sai Tau Ufuau as the number 3. Tom Savage and Samuel Slade in the locking duo with Miracle Whaialangi, Adi Savia as the captain, and then Tupo Taialoa slotting in at number 8. Jonathan Tamatina and Patrick Pellegrini will be the 9-10 combination. I actually really like that change. I feel like Pellegrini off the bench has been outstanding, and also in the game up against the Crusaders, he just seemed to control the match from that 10 spot. Do you think that the chance of Garden Batchup coming off the bench and having his own little impact is certainly there, but Pellegrini, for me, has to play 70-plus minutes here if they do want the chance. Julian Savia, he is going to be in the midfield alongside Lalomilo. That is due to a late change that we have seen for Moana Pasifika. Kieran Tumafalau out on one wing, Tavita Offa out on the other, and then William Havili at number 15. In the Blues starting lineup, it is Josh Fusitua, Ricky Riccatelli, and Angus Ta'avau as the front row. So actually getting rid of Marcel Renata after he has been incredible throughout the last few weeks, managing to get himself multiple tries for the big front rower. Patrick Tui Piloto as captain alongside Josh Berry in the locking duo. Cam Christie at 6, Dalton Papali at 7, and Hoskins at 2-2 once again finds himself. And at that number 8 jersey, Taufapu Naki alongside Bowden Barrett in the 19 combo. In terms of the midfield, it is Taeli and Rico Ioane. And then in the back 3, we see the return of Caleb Clark alongside AJ Lamb and Corey Evans. I don't even know what that man is dressed as. I want to say he might be Stitch from Lilo and Stitch, but that might be completely wrong. Now we have there a very good evening from Brisbane to Hamish and all Kiwi Lads viewers. And win or lose Blues till the end, says James Martin. The wind at the moment at the game is sitting about 20 kilometres and 17 degrees Celsius, so actually a really nice time for a bit of rugby. The Highlanders are so good. They're going to win this season, says Ben Rocks. And don't mind who wins this game, just want the Reds to win their game. And of course, that is so that the Chiefs have a little bit more breathing room, as there are quite a few sides right on their neck at the moment. As you can see there, tied with points for the Crusaders. And then the Brumbies, if they get themselves a victory here, just for now, they would be sitting as number 1 side in the Super Rugby standings. But this first half is just about to take place. Do let me know your score predictions in the chat, of course, ladies and gents. Adi Savia lining up alongside Patrick Tui Piloto. Both have great opportunities to make it into the All Blacks. Just around the corner, of course, July fast approaching. At this point in time, the two making their way out of the tunnel, ready to go for this match. We have got there as well. Hamish, did you see that bloke rocking the Niue flag? I did not. But I know that Moana Pasifika, quite a few of the other Pacific Islands, with the exception of Tonga and Samoa, are well represented and well followed. Or well, I guess you could say just well involved in this Moana Pasifika side. Cook Islands, I know, is another location that we've seen a little bit of support for Moana Pasifika for. I know that there was a player for them who was from the Cook Islands. I can't remember who it was. I think it was a lock. Also watching Wallaroos versus USA. And also, Kiwi Lads, everyone hi, says Spider Mech. And there as well, but they are showing Tui Piloto. He needs a big game here. Feel like in the locking department, Tom Savage, Samuel Slade, not a bad combo for Moana Pasifika. And the way that they managed to really get momentum in the last game up against Moana Pasifika for the Blues was to just be relentless in those breakdowns. Of course, there was that controversial try, but it was the turning point where they were able to rip that ball away from a grounded opposition and just they ran from there and managed to pretty much cement the game. And to love to any Pacific Islanders out there on tonight's live show, and go the Blues by 30 plus, says Spider-Man and how's it, Hamish, says Anthony, and let's go the Blues. And there, and Saneva has said go Moana. And well done, Crusaders, you play so well. Says Bradley there too. They are showing Patrick Pellegrini starts at first five for the first time since round 10. I have no idea why they haven't been starting him, if I'm being completely honest. Definitely with the fact he's been off the bench instead. Like, I'm not sure whether or not it's something to do with the backline that they're trying to create. But Pellegrini, I think when he's in the starting side, he can be extremely dangerous. They are just showing there Caleb Clark. He is back out on the wing, having a bit of a chat with Ben O'Keefe there. He's been out for 4 weeks. Mark Dallaire coming back next week from his suspension. So we could see those two back out on the wings. And now, time is on. We're ready to go. The Blues, they are wearing the white, and they are kicking off from left to right for this match up against Moana Pasifika. And straight away, the physicality from Caleb Clark driving Pellegrini backwards. He's not the biggest man in the world, Pellegrini, but he certainly can pack a punch. Now it is Tui Pelotu, tackled inside of the 22 for Moana Pasifika. William Havili kicking towards the sideline, but won't manage to get the ball out. Claimed by Corey Evans. Finds himself at number 15 for this contest. Taufa Funaki. Across to Hoskins, Tutu. Two-man tackle on him. And Moana trying to get straight in there with Tom Savage. Skip pass out to Caleb Clark for his first run. Now, he has had a pretty quiet season, and not just because he was out for the last 4 games, but before then, struggling to get over the try line. He wants to try and book himself a spot in the ABs. He will definitely need a few tries in the next few games. I'm coming for that number 1 spot. Sears Drape. Now Ta'aval driven backwards. Looks for the offload. Gets it away to Patrick Tui Pelotu. Trying to bump off Samisi Tupo. Back across to the right-hand side. Oskin Satutu. They've got an advantage now. Moana's discipline going to be one of the main factors for them in this matchup. Some good physicality shown, but still going to be in the hands of the Blues. Great phase play, 9 in a row, passed out wide. Chance now down the wing for AJ Lamb. Another guy that could possibly find himself in the runnings for the ABs. Angus Ta'aval, tackled by Tupo Taialoa, stolen by Savia, so they'll go right back for their original penalty advantage. Up the wires, says Tom there. Now, the Blues have got the decision to make whether or not they want to take on the 3 or go for the corner. I will say pretty much 90% of the time throughout the rest of the season, they have gone for the corner, so I don't see this one being any different. I think they'll try and put on that physicality early and use that rolling maul. And yep, that is exactly what the Blues are going to do. I heard that Rico is going to Northern Hemisphere. Yep, he's heading to Leinster next season, the club that Geordie Barrett went to this year and has found quite a bit of success. Meanwhile, in Ireland as well, their Sevens circuit has been scrapped because they don't have enough money. So it's a little bit of a happy medium that they're trying to find at the moment. Ricky Riccatelli throwing this ball in. That's going to hit the hands of Josh Berry. Sits up for Savia and breaking away. Gets a pass away on the outside to Miracle Faialangi. He'll put the kicker behind. This could be a 50-22. It's curling, but does get picked up by Caleb Clark. Two-man tackle on him from a good chase of Kieran Tabafalau alongside Jonathan Tamatina. Now Ioane tries to get through. Tackled by Tavera Offa. Turnover coming here almost for Moana Pasifika in the breakdown. The Blues locking over it. It's a scrappy one. Tamatine tried to say he was played at. I don't know if this ball... Okay, now it's on the side of the Blues. I was going to say I don't know if this ball's ever going to come out of that breakdown. Both sides throwing in about 5 of their forwards. Odin Barrett trying to find touch. Unable to do so. Now chance here for William Havili. 40 metres out from the Blues line. Big fend on Rico Ioane. And we go there, hello Hamish, I'm back after months, says Andres. It is great to see you. It has been quite some time. I'm trying to think whether or not it was right at the start of Super Rugby or whether it would have actually been last year's November internationals that we did see. A little knock on there from Moana Pasifika. Is Talia also leaving? He is indeed going to Japan. And also we have the hello, says Demon the 11. Welcome in. An evening Hamish and all. Moana Pasifika win would be good, although I picked a Chiefs Blues final. Says Studs Race. Theoretically, that could still happen, though. But, yeah, Moana pretty much need this game. We talked about it in terms of the table and the way that it currently sits. If Moana Pasifika were to get this win, they kind of keep themselves in the hunt. Whereas if the Blues get the win, then the difference between Moana and a spot in the top 6 is a whole 6 points. Maybe 5 if they get themselves a bonus point from this game, but that might just be a little bit too much of a mountain to climb with the amount of time remaining. Of course, we have only got this many games. Moana Pasifika, they luckily have got 2, but they're both up against New Zealand sides away from home. So they need this win if they want any chance. And then maybe bonus points would be enough, and a win over the Canes in the last round, like they were able to beat them in the earlier contest, like that might be enough. But it's pretty tough. It's not going to be easy. Greetings from Irania, says Good Hub. Welcome in. Moana Pasifika versus the Blues. It's basically North Harbour versus Auckland, says Colin. Yeah, last time it wasn't as close as people wanted to see. Okay, they're just talking about Adrian Choate being out, which is why Cam Christie is sitting there in the number 6 jersey. Anton Segner, another guy that they have lost alongside Soafoa. But now there's going to be another advantage going the way of the Blues. At scrum time, skip pass from Bowden Barrett goes on the outside to AJ Lamb. Ball's knocked out of his hand, so they will go back for yet again another penalty against Moana Pasifika. They have to be very careful here. Like I said, their discipline could be the difference maker in this contest. So far, they have been penalties for very different things. One of them in scrum, one of them in open play. It's only been 6 minutes. I know the Chiefs playing this weekend, says Good at Hard. They did not have a game for this weekend, the Chiefs. But in terms of next weekend, they have got Moana Pasifika. I'll put that up again. These are all of the games remaining, with the exception of Reds versus Brumbies happening later on tonight. So the Chiefs, they've still got 2 more games, one up against Moana Pasifika, one up against the Highlanders. But other than that, no other game. So for the Blues, you know, we talked about where they are on the table at the moment. But if they lose this game, they've only got 1 more match. That's up against the Waratahs to try and get those extra points. So honestly, like looking at the table again, the moment the Blues are on 27. If Moana win this, it means that Moana have an extra game in hand to try and extend that lead ahead of the Blues. So yeah, this one's a must-win for the Blues, and it's a must-win, honestly, for Moana as well, which is why this game hopefully will be so exciting. But the Blues, once again, have got themselves positioned about 30 metres out from Moana's line. Adi Savia looking for the turnover and the breakdown. That will be a knock-on from the Blues, which gives Moana the possession back. They'll go on the outside with Lalomelo now finding it off to Kieran Tumafalau. Finds space inside of the 22 of the Blues. AJ Lamb has to clean it up. Tries to put on the fender, manages to break away from Kieran Tumafalau as well. But eventually does get wrestled down, and Savia wins the penalty for Moana. Caleb Clark gives him a push in the back. But that is a big penalty to be able to win. How to watch the game, what VPN to use. Unfortunately, VPN, no matter where you set yourself in the world, it's still a paid subscription for Super Rugby, I believe. So, yeah, there aren't really many options. TVNZ Plus will have the URC games later on, but sadly, no other ones. One moment, I'm about to sneeze again, so I will quickly mute. We are good. And also, interesting decision here from Moana Pasifika. They have gone for the corner rather than taking on the 3. Fusitoa at loosehead has been improving for the Blues, AB's prospect. Honestly, he wouldn't look too out of place in an All Blacks kit. He's actually had a really strong season. Same with someone like a Renata. The Blues have got a few handy enough guys in the propping department currently. Sanarevi throws it in to Samuel Slade. Ref, says Spider Mick. What are you complaining about, Spider? And now currently, chance here for Jonathan Tamatine. Now it's a messy Tupai Taialoa. Tries to sit down Cam Christie. They're only 5 metres out from the line now. Adi Savia round the side of the breakdown. Driving close, will get dragged down just short by Satutu. The ball came out backwards, and there's an advantage in favour of Moana. Can't quite reach out there. Now around the side, Savia, he is on the line there. The ref was about to award it, and then he went, hang on, I better check this. But the thing is, if he's checking this, what happens if it's no try? Because if he's saying that it didn't make it to the line, then surely that's a 5 metre Moana scrum or something, isn't it? Okay, it was like a boom and a bang back, is the comment there from Angus Gardner. He's turning into a rap artist. A boom and a bang back, and Savia, that looks pretty good to me. That looks right on the line for Artie Savia. And can he not award it? The thing is though, right, if he's not going to award it, then he's in the predicament of going, well, what do we do now? Because they aren't over the line. See, that looks pretty good from that angle. But they're saying from the other angle it doesn't look down. I think that is, like, it's on the line, isn't it? Oh, wow. Wow. No try is the call there. And now it's going to be a 5-metre scrum for an original knock-on from the Blues. So Moana are still going to have another chance. But tell you what, that's pretty close to being a try. And I think that they've probably got lucky that they only could find 2 camera angles of that. But they're also in that scenario. If they keep going through the phases, they were probably going to score it anyway. And Moana Pasifika and the Blues both make the top 6 without knocking each other out. They can at the expense of the Hurricanes, sorry. So if the Hurricanes were to lose to Moana and also lose their other game, I believe they could find themselves dropping out. So they've got the Brumbies next week, I think it is, or the Reds, one of those two for the Canes. Now, going back across to this left-hand side, big run from Julian Savia. They're going to be 5 metres out from the line. So Tutu going through the middle, trying to steal it. That's a poor pass from Jonathan Tamatine. Bowden Barrett passes it off to Clark, and the Blues will survive what looked like a good, or in fact a terrific chance of being able to score. Let's be honest. I think Moana will feel a bit hard done by there, but it's going to be kicked high by Pellegrini. Now it goes into the hands of Bowden Barrett. And Hayes says Islanders fan. Now, bit of a counter-up coming from Moana Pasifika, and they've got themselves another penalty there. And WDF, how can he not award that? And Brother Home Alone getting ready to hit off sales for some alcoholic supplies for the Bulls and Dragons game. And we are going to be covering that one on the channel. Alongside that, we are also going to be doing the match between the, will be Sharks and Scarlets. That'll be the other match. So Tom Savage may have taken a bit of a knock to the head here. They won't want to lose him. I think they're just trying to make that decision of what to do. They turned down 3 points earlier to score the try. Then have it disallowed. And then miss their opportunity. Go Moana. Says Samuelu. Possession at the moment. 61% for the Blues. Tackles made. We're seeing a 93% tackle completion from Moana Pasifika. 91% tackle completion from the Blues. So actually both doing relatively well. Am I the only chatter who thinks that it was definitely a Moana Pasifika try? If it makes you feel better, I felt like it was a try too. And we try our best to call games as close down the middle as we can, but it just looked good, if that makes sense. But I was a bit more concerned with the fact that they, like, rather than checking it a bit later and giving them a couple more phases while they had advantage, they just straight away said, no, we'll stop that and we'll go away from it. Right, Moana Pasifika, they're actually going to line up the 3 points here. And let's go Moana, says Thunderfire. Thuds, I believe so too, try. Watching you and listening to Mob Deep Shook Ones, says Drape. Patrick Pellegrini, he will be the man with kicking responsibilities today for Moana Pasifika, back in the starting lineup for the first time since round 10. Now, lining up this one, looks like a pretty good strike. It's at the post, it hasn't gone over though for Moana. So far they have been denied about 10 points in this contest. Pellegrini goes across there to William Arvelli, who's met by a Hoskins, a 2-2 battering ram flying straight at him. How good is Artie? He's been phenomenal for Moana, although I do also think that they've got a couple hidden gems in this side. The likes of a Miracle Whailangi, Samesi Tupo Taeloa has looked phenomenal. And also, I mean, Patrick Pellegrini. There haven't actually been too many 10s in the comp that have been stronger than that man. It's just they're giving him a lack of game time, so we haven't been able to see the man's full potential. Now, back across to the left-hand side. Pellegrini goes across. They're just trying to make a couple extra metres with Tui Pilotu. That's playing the 9 against Dalton Papali'i. That is going to be the penalty advantage for Moana Pasifika here, sitting 30 metres out from the line. And Gia Gerhard thought I was losing it, says Studs Ray. Now Savia goes off to Tupo Tailoa. Skip pass from Lalomilo. Lalomilo gets it on the outside to Miracle Faialangi. As it over, it missed that kick, unfortunately, for Patrick Pellegrini. Now looking for the flick pass out the back. Papali jumps on it, and they will go back for the original penalty. Now, once again, this is probably a kickable 3, but after missing that last one, they may look to go aggressive here. Although it is in the middle of the park and should be a nice, easy 3-pointer if they do want it. Penalty going against Dalton. Papali'i shaking his head. I think it was about as obvious as it could have been in the breakdown, unfortunately, for him. And yeah, looks like they are calling for the shot here. And Moana playing well, says Colin. And to be fair, they started well last time up against the Blues. They have to be physical. They have to be competitive in those breakdowns. Right, they're just showing this one here. Yeah, just no hands on the ball for Jonathan Tamatine. Wait, what's this? Oh no, Pellegrini was a little bit too far in front of the mark, says Angus Gardner. So it is back there. So they have just been told by the TMO that he's a bit too close. And we have got there, make it 80, Moana, says Colin. And now, sitting 0 from 1 for Pellegrini today. South Africa with the passing of Cornell Hendricks, bowling balls and box winger. Same down as Wellington, South Africa just like me, says Gerhard. Yeah, it was the news that kind of rocked the rugby world this week. Unfortunately, it's becoming a little bit too common for a lot of people's likings in terms of the amount of young guys that we're seeing passing away in the rugby sense. It wasn't that long ago that Connor Garden-Basham passed. Sean Wainui as well, another Kiwi. But now, it's going to be kicked off by Bowden Barrett sitting here. Blues, 3 points down. But they'll be really feeling like they've got a decent chance. This is going to be a rolling ball here. So this ball may go the way of the Blues, and it does. Any other games on tonight, says Def. We haven't scheduled them yet, but we are doing the Bulls versus Dragons match, as well as the matchup taking place between Sharks and Scarlet. So a 5:30 a.m. kickoff and a 2 a.m. kickoff, I believe, are roughly when those ones are, although that doesn't sound right, actually. One moment, we'll have a look. It might be a 1 a.m. kickoff. Yeah, 1 a.m. for the first one, and then 5:30 for the second one. How good has this season of Super Rugby been? It's been awesome. Like, the fact that we've seen so many competitive games and so many upsets along the way as well, just to keep everyone intrigued. Super Rugby doing the kick timer, no shot clock on TV. I've been wondering all season. They are doing the shot clock. Referees have been pretty good in terms of warning the players when they're running out of time. We actually saw it in the URC last night that there were a few mistakes made by the ref in terms of letting the players know when they were running out of time. Now, quick tap taken by Hoskins Satutu. Back across to the right-hand side. But now back. The Blues about 20 metres out from the line. Tofa Funaki. Going across Ioane. Ricky Riccatelli. Still making their way forward. As Julian Savia playing, says Timothy Tamasi, he is, or at least, yeah, he is at number 12, I believe. He was initially going to be out on the wing, or at least a replacement off the wing, I thought, but instead he does find himself in the starting lineup at 12 now, rather than Danny Tawala. Stormers had a very good game yesterday evening against Cardiff, says Gerhard, and that one's going to be now another goal line dropout. We almost, Wainui, says Robin. Yeah, luckily he's still got that impressive record in Super Rugby for 5 tries in a game, so he still gets represented quite well in the competition. And we have got there any other games? Oh no, I read that one, and Blues let themselves down by making too many errors, says Spider Mick. All these young devs are all since COVID. It's not a coincidence. I mean, of the 3 players that we mentioned, one of them had a pre-existing heart condition before COVID was a thing. Another one unfortunately died in a car crash, and then also that Fijian player most recently was also in a car crash. And then Connor Garden-Basham, I think it was unknown. So, like, that's still not down to COVID. Like, it's outside of that. But if you like your conspiracies, I guess you can go for that. Now sitting 10 metres out from the line, It's going to be a rolling maul opportunity here for Ricky Riccatelli at the back. And looks like now, they've done well, Moana. They've tied that ball up. I think it was Tom Savage who has still got his hands on Ricky Riccatelli at the ball, making sure he was not letting that one out. And we have got there Shane Christie raising some interesting questions, says Studs Race. And also, who's the halfback for Moana in today's game? It is Jonathan Tamatine. The man in charge of Go Moana, says Hona. We are just seeing it there. Straight through the middle for Tom Savage. And that will be frustrating for the Blues because normally their rolling maul gets them at least one try a game in terms of being able to just use that power and physicality. Time's been turned back on. They're just going to keep on going at this frantic pace. Good morning, Hamish and everybody from the Sticks in Mother England. Says Kurt O'Week. Welcome in. Only 5 metres out from their line, Moana Pasifika. 17 minutes in and they are still leading, but you just wonder whether or not, there we go, the scoreboard's finally given that one off. When is Malakai Fekitoa coming to Moana? I don't know whether or not he has plans to as of yet, but could be interesting. Time change is binding. It should be penalty to the Blues, says Eric. And a link to watch. Sadly, there aren't really any free ways of watching Super Rugby Pacific, which I think is a massive shame. I think maybe they have it on Prime in New Zealand, if Prime's still a thing. But it's normally delayed, unfortunately. But now, back into the pocket. Jonathan Tamatine goes to Pellegrini, and that ball will be put into touch. Doesn't get a huge amount of distance on it, probably about 15 metres out from the try line. I'm wondering if they're going to keep forcing more errors on the Blues this time. Well, I think they have to keep that pressure on, because if you make any sort of mistakes in regards of, like, in particular that breakdown, you know, if you go for a counter ruck and you leave that space around the side, the Blues are quick enough with their forwards, and Taufa Funaki will go for that snipe. So I feel like there are many elements of this game that if Moana make a little error, the Blues are going to pounce on them. I wonder why Super Rugby doesn't play on Sky Open anymore. Says Death's probably just down to, was that an accidental knock-on, I believe it was, from the Blues, but it sits up Arati Savi, who's going to slip at a ball. And that is a great kick, and it will go into touch, gaining the Moana Pasifika side maybe about 40 metres. Number 9 for the Crusaders had a storm of game yesterday, but I still say Cortez Ratama is my pick for ABs. Fakatava also in the mix, says Gerhard, and what a kick, says Stu. Yeah, fantastic kick from Artie Savia, doing it better than some fly halves would with the clearing kick. Get the ball to Papali'i, he'll score the try, says Quandile. Yeah, that is a very good kick from Artie Savia. Almost had a little bit of a spiral on it as well. He does it so casually. Artie Savia, ball going to be available now for the Blues, who are about 28 metres out from their line. Ball kicked high from Bowden Barrett, contestable and well taken. In the air from Moana Pasifika, bit of a counter-ruck. That's an illegal manoeuvre there from Rico. He tried to get the counter-ruck going from Moana Pasifika's side, and there's going to be the penalty going the way of Moana again. That is against, I think it was Papali'i or Satutu. Okay, I think Tamatini's just getting... Okay, he's pretty much said, I know you guys are mates, but don't do that because it starts stuff. Then after the game you can do it. I don't know what he means by that. You can have a punch-up after the match, I guess. Might as well. And go Moana, says Philly. But now it's going to be a line out here for Moana Pasifika. The biggest problem that they've got at the moment, though, is they've been in control and they haven't really capitalised fully on it. You know, 3 points is not enough in this contest. If they score again, they'll be looking a little bit better. But if the Blues then get a breakaway try at some point soon, Moana are down. And then it kind of hurts the confidence. Jonathan Tamatine trying a little chip in behind, waiting for the bounce of the ball as Corey Evans sits it up to Bowden Barrett. He's running backwards at the moment, trying to retreat from this Moana side. We're looking for a bit of a counter-ruck, unable to do it though, inside the 22. Back across to Josh Fusitua. Our inside, so they will be able to kick this one into touch. Can't find Moana merch available in the EU. Says Robin. Oh, what's the website that has like a lot of countries. I know that 2cents Rugby has talked about them before in terms of it's like an international rugby merchandise one that may have it. If Champions of the World do international shipping, it could be on there as well. More of an arm wrestle than expected. I think that Moana were always going to come out of the gates a little bit more aggressive, but I do think that they might still be about 7 points short just at this current point in time with the amount of pressure that they've created, which can then not bode well for them later on in this game. They need more tries and they need them soon. They need to turn all of these penalties that they're winning into points. Jonathan Tamatina gets it back into Pellegrini and there was going for the cross kick. It goes into touch. William tries to take it quickly, but it will be a Blues line out. When Arnie was born, they threw away the mould. The man is unique. One of rugby's greatest players, says Kurno Vic. And also Moana 27 to the 13 of the Blues is Filet's prediction. Currently 21 minutes through. Game's been going pretty quick so far. Neither side trying to take that backwards step. I do think that the Blues are still extremely dangerous. And they haven't really been able to use their backline to the full potential as of yet, but once they get it firing, it's normally hard to stop it. Here we go. Xavier Taeli in the middle of the park. Now, Taufa Funaki again goes for the kick up high. Just wonder whether or not, it's nicely taken by Josh Berry to be fair, off the Ta'avao who does knock it on. I just think the Blues are getting rid of the ball a bit too often at this stage of the match. They have got, like we mentioned, such a dangerous backline, but they aren't using it because they just keep kicking the ball from the 9 and 10 channel rather than allowing those backs to find a bit of space. The likes of Clark, Ioane. Yeah, just a drop ball there from Angus Ta'avao who was in support for the kick. And behind from Taufa Funaki. Now another line out for Ricky Riccatelli. It's going to be slapped away to Taufa Funaki, met by the front rowers of Moana Pasifika. Is Artie still available for ABs as a player captain, even though he's playing for Moana? He is indeed, yes. If he wanted to play for Samoa, he'd have to wait, I think it's another 2 years before being eligible. So I don't know whether or not that would be in his plans. Julian Savio, I believe, can actually play for Samoa now, though. Mark taken by Pellegrini. Once again, a little bit of a nothing kick there from the Blues. Just kicking it for the sake of it rather than building into a plan. Pellegrini will now have time to kick this one towards the sideline. L30 has said, go Moana, go. That one goes into touch. Do the Blues want it quickly? They do not. Will now be another line out for the Blues. He has been an outstanding player for Moana Pasifika throughout this season. Hasn't had many starts at all. The last about 4 or 5 weeks they have gone with Jackson Garden Bishop rather than Pellegrini. Sometimes they just haven't given him enough time to work it from off the bench. I think they've actually just said if the Blues win this game, Moana Pasifika as well as the Highlanders and the Western Force are both out of the comp. And if you got me worried a bit, says Thunder. The 24 minutes in, the Blues once again in possession. Odin Barrett back across to the right-hand side. This is better from the Blues, trying to run it with their backline. But Ioane almost lost that ball in the breakdown. Bit of a hesitation there from Taeli, and the ball, no, not stolen cleanly by Tavita Ofa, so it will be the penalty now against Moana Pasifika. Now, this is where the Blues once again have to make that decision. Do you go for 3 or do you go for the corner? Most sides in this scenario would go, we've had hardly any attack from inside of the 22, take the 3, get it back even. But the Blues once again are taking that risk. They've done it in multiple games and it cost them early on throughout their season. I have a lot of Super Rugby jersey and URC jersey, obviously not the real deal, but the AB jersey I got 3 years ago. Still like new, says Thorfinn. I do think Moanga will be in the Australia-New Zealand squad that will face the Lions, says Denfred. Yeah, will be an interesting team, that Anzac side. They're going to persist with going for yet again another line out, kicking for the corner. It's one of those tactics that when it works, it's brilliant. When it doesn't, you realise that they've turned down about 9 points already and they're still down by 3. Blues as one of the most potent backlines use them, says Gerhard. Exactly right. Now looking for the rolling maul with Ricky Riccatelli here. Trying to get this one moving forward. Moana Pasifika defending it well so far. Did stop once. Looks like they're still going to continue trying to roll it. It's not looking too bad. This is surely going to be the try now for Ricky Rickett. Oh, he's short of the line. He made the mistake. Oh, no. Angus Gardner says he sees a grounding. But he somehow wiggled that one over the line for Ricky Riccatelli. That was almost a massive mistake. In fact, are they going to check it? Yes, they are. It might be short, but I'd say if they look at this, there might have been a Moana player who went in and possibly dragged it down. So this could be a card. Okay, they're just checking to see if the maul was brought down illegally. Yanzik V will barely have an Aussie player in it. When it doesn't include All Blacks and Wallabies, says the Sporting Kiwi. Yeah, I guess, well, it might have a few. Like, there are quite a few guys who will miss out on the Wallabies who have had very decent Super Rugby seasons, I would think. And the Blues need to try and boost their confidence against Moana. Same thing for Moana, said Studs Race. Oh, sorry, that was actually Thunder Fire. So we are seeing it now. So I think they're going to say it was brought down. There was a player who fell. I don't actually know if he brought it down on purpose, but unfortunately for him, he's just ended up in the wrong place. He's had half a trip there. I think he has foot stood on, which doesn't go well when you're in a rolling maul. We're going to see it here in the replay. It is the number one. Yeah, he just has a bit of a stumble there for Tito Tuipulotu, but he's probably going to end up penalised. I don't think Ricky Riccatelli got it down initially, though. But instead, this is probably going to be turned into a penalty try. Right. Mauler's going forward. Probably going to be a try from Angus Gardner. So that is going to be a yellow card against Tito Tuipulotu, and it is going to be a penalty try for the Blues, which now gives them the 7. We talked about it, how Moana hadn't taken the opportunities that they had, and now the Blues have got themselves the lead, and also an extra man on the field for the next while. Blues win. Stink commentary, says Jim. Well, you don't have to be here, Jim. You can go elsewhere. We're not holding you hostage, nor would we want to with the grammar that you've got in terms of not even putting a capital for your name. But it's going to be now. Chance here for Moana Pasifika to kick this one off deep and just try and stall for a bit of time. No try, says L30. And Blue says Gerhard and Moana has 2 All Blacks players, so they won't have a problem, hopefully, says Salome. And Moana going to win tonight. Well, they have to do something big in this next 10 minutes. If they allow any more tries from the Blues throughout this 10-minute period, they'll be in trouble. No try for Riccatelli, no try. So he was short initially, but it was dragged down. Let's go Moana, says Laney. And Moana for the win. Let's go the Blues, says Blues Nathan there as well. I see taken by William Harvili, looking after the short side, manages a breakaway and gives it off to Lalomilo, ball on the inside of Miracle. Whaialangi, dragged down by Berry. That's the thing, when Moana get their passing right, they can be extremely lethal. Almost a knock on there in the breakdown. So Tutu trying to get the steal. He's lost his footing though. Oh no, they've said it's all right. And then Lalomilo has managed to take it straight back. And draw one. Hopefully Moana can do it, says Salome. Yeah, the draw one comfortably up against the Western Force. It seems to be the trend that when we don't cover their games, they actually win them. So I guess we covered too many this season, unfortunately for them. And we over there, the Blues, says Gerhard. Good evening, Hamish and Mega, everyone. Says it was there from Blues Nate and try, no try. What is it, Hammy? It was a try. It was a penalty try, in fact, and a yellow card awarded as well, but the scoreboard doesn't want to give them. It's actually still updating, but someone in the score box obviously disagrees with that one. Ball is there for Moana Pasifika. They've got themselves another penalty advantage. Lalomilo going across there to Miracle Whaialangi. Now Tamatine looking for the little grabber in behind. Kicked forward by Kieran Tumapalau, but he puts too much on it and the ball rolls dead. Highlander season is over. It's over if the Blues win this game. If Moana win it, they can slightly slide in. Just. Also Forces 2, says Salome. And Highlander season, oh no, I read that one, didn't I? Currently, 11.5 remaining in the first half. Looks like Moana Pasifika just making a bit of a decision in terms of whether or not they kick for the corner or whether they do go for the 3. And it looks like the kick at the post is going to be the decision made. Score is 12-3, 7-3 at the moment. So the Blues, they were able to get themselves the penalty try. And then for Moana Pasifika, they have just got the 3 points. Scoreboard is updating time-wise, but it's not updating points-wise for the Blues at the moment. It will be a shot at the post here for Moana Pasifika to put them back within the 1 point. And that is only if we see the ball go over from Pellegrini. Waratahs are still in with a chance. Kind of. Like, they are one team that currently with the points that they're on, that's the wrong competition. There we go. So the Waratahs, I believe because they've still got the extra game in hand, that's why they still have a chance in comparison to the Western Force, who do sit there with 22. So, yeah, it's pretty much because of that extra game, that's why the Waratahs can still theoretically go through if they were able to beat the Blues and they were able to beat the Western Force next week. So that's pretty much the gist of it. They have got the extra 3 there, so hopefully the scoreboard eventually, it's given the points to Moana, but it's not given the points to the Blues. Doesn't want to give the penalty try. A Force dream of making it to the top 6 is over, says Salome. Yeah, and I think even if like Moana were to win this game, for the Force to make it would still be a miracle with the games that they have got left. Although, to be fair, the Waratahs did look like they struggled a little bit in their game last night up against the Crusaders. They had some good moments, though. They actually came back into that game quite nicely. 30 minutes in at the moment, and the score is 6 points to 7. Moana still have another 6 minutes remaining of the yellow card. Are ready to go for the line out on the halfway line, back across to the right-hand side. Pick and go from Hoskins at 2-2. Opened up a little bit of space next to the breakdown. Talfa Funaki shifts it quickly off to Taili. Adisavia wanted the steal and the breakdown, wasn't quite able to do so. Now, even if they were to lose in this game, Moana, they can still make it to the top 8, but they'd have to beat the Chiefs and the Canes. Floaty pass over the top, out to AJ Lamb. He's only 10 metres short. Massive shot coming in from Lalo Milo. The ball's still there for the Blues, though. 10 metres out from the line. Bowden Barrett slings it across to Josh Berry. 5 metres from the try line. Tui Pelotu receives the pass from Ricky Riccatelli. Pusitua. They can go again. This is where they normally have someone like a Marcel Renata, who normally likes to score the tries, at least as of lately. Now Satutu goes up there and Tui Pelotu's over. And it's the second try in quick succession for the Blues now. We have got there, Hamish, what is the story? Doing rounds that Mark Talia have betrayed the ABs? Do I misunderstand? So he's gone overseas, like he's going to do a season in Japan. So I feel like people are taking that as, you know, he's betraying the country and whatnot, but he's just taking the money, you know. Like, he's doing nothing different to what we've seen from 50 other players throughout recent times. But it's just, I don't know why that Mark Talia in particular is the one that they're targeting as the big headline. But, like, you know, Ioane's going over for a sabbatical, but he's going to be coming back. Harry Plummer's going to France. Sam Gilbert's going to Connacht. You know, none of those guys are getting the big mentions, and maybe that is because of their amount of minutes that they get for the ABs, but Talia's just, he's doing what a lot of other guys have done. And we have their Blues making their moves up in the middle now, improving each week. Says Studs Race. And good morning, evening, Hamish says Flesh and Go Moana, says Yazoo. Oh, I was wondering what was going on there. They're all trying to get the match ball in the stands. So there's like a pile of about 15 people all trying to rip it away. Kids having a rumble in the crowd, says Studs Race. I think the sad thing is the one who wins the rumble won't realise that they actually have to give the ball back. And come on, Moana. Can't bloody watch from Perth, says Taiona. So yeah, currently 14-6 down. They will need another try at some point here, but they just need that yellow card to end already to help them get back in. So Tutu very slow getting back up to his feet there for the Blues. Not sure whether or not there is a bit of an injury, perhaps. Taufafunaki kicking downfield. But the big difference has been, ever since Moana got that yellow card, the Blues have been running it more rather than kicking in behind. They've been concentrating on possession, and in doing so, they've made a lot of meters. The Blues going to RKO Moana. Says Spider Mick. And out Pellegrini. Oh, he stayed down a little bit too. Took a bit of a crashing blow as he went to ground. Tamatine goes across to Julian Savia, starting in the centre combo for this match, rather than Danny Tualu was a late change. For sure, I say give him a piece of the pie too. Says Gerhard, and AB's wingers always have a short shelf life, so you can't blame Talia, says Flesh. And yeah, for some people, they weren't even picking Talia in their AB's side. So, you know, it's one of those ones, you're not going to be everyone's favourite player if you're out on the wing. In fact, you're not even going to be everyone's favourite player if you're any position. So you just have to make sure that if the money's right and you can make the most of your career, because let's be honest, like rugby players, you know, the amount of injuries we've seen in competitions recently, you're not going to be able to play forever, so you got to make your money while you can. Make hay while the sun shines. As they say, that's an ugly clean out. I think Lalomelo and Corey Evans just both went up for that ball. Lalomelo almost wins the penalty. In fact, he does. And they will get the penalty there. And Moana for the second half. Says Blues, Nate. I felt Talia got treated unfairly before he left. But hey, I wish him well. At least he'll play for the ABs. Or at least he'll eventually play for the ABs. Says Just Poker. And folks says Colossus, welcome in. And now Moana. A minute remaining. Oh. Is that Pellegrini going off for the HIA? No, that looks like a bigger boy. No, it might actually be him. Pellegrini making his way off the field. And take the 3. Says Stu. Yeah, Pellegrini got to make his way off. He was pretty slow getting back up to his feet. One of those recent shots. W for the commentary, Kiwi lad. I don't even don't want to watch because too nervous, says Thunderfire. Hello, says Sebastian there too. And Willy Wonka golden card. Win the game for the Blues, says Tom. Yeah, during that period where the yellow card was in play already, the Blues have got themselves 14 points. Garden Basher puts it into touch. Moana, if they can score right at the end of the first half, it would be a big booster for them. The fact that they turned down the 3 maybe could be a bit of a concern. They could have been within 7 if they had done so, but the Blues would have still had another minute or so of attacking with an extra man. Samuel Slade pops it up to Savia, 5 metres out from the line. And Moana Pasifika have got themselves the ball again. Sanarevi, tackle well by Taili. Tamatine across to Samuel Slade, crunching tackle on him. Papali holding his head, looking at the ref saying, I've been hurt. I don't know. And then he's just made a tackle from an offside position. So I guess that evens out. And now ball is there for Moana. Couple metres out. Good leg strength, but still 1 metre short. Tamatine goes off to Garden Bishop. Julian Savia pick and pass. And it's out to Kieran Tamafalau, who does score the try out wide for Moana Pasifika. I reckon Talia read the tea leaves. I can see some great young talent coming through, says Studs Razor. Not too bad, Fleshin. And also, let's go Moana Pasifika, says Novmum. And I'm sure, Fleshin, you'll be very happy because Scarlets are confirmed in the top 8. No matter what, they cannot drop out. So, they will be through to the next stage. Oh, look, I am number 1, says Novmum. And get it, the Moana Pasifika and Hamish. I have a 11-1 bet on the Blues. Brumbies, Sharks, Paolini and Rome. And Cineral to win. Says Andreas. I haven't heard of a couple of those teams, if I'm being honest. But yeah, hopefully they go all right for you. Zardi, the best player in the country, he's got to be right up there. Like top 5 easily, I would say, based off his current form and also what he's been able to do in recent times. It's like Tito Tui Palotu is about to make his way back out onto the field. If he gets this kick over, which he does not, it means that he is still second in the overall standings for Moana Pasifika points. And has been for ages. says Just Poker, and Artie is right up there, and also Tennis says Suds Race. Yeah, it's been quite back and forth between these two sides. Munster have done the Scarlets a favour, but he won't admit it, says Sebastian. And what's happened to Blackadder? You'd never guess, but I think he's injured again. I don't think it's as serious as it could be, though. But yeah, once again, has picked up another injury. I look like a great turnout from their social media, says Tayona. Yeah, Moana Pasifika have had a decent following this year, definitely because of the results that they've been able to put together. Building quite the crowd up north. And yeah, B says Affliction. Oh, it's tennis players. Okay, I get it. I thought he was saying like tennis as in we've had back and forth in this one. But yeah, no, I don't know my tennis very well. Now, I need to throw this one in for the Blues. 90 seconds remaining in the half. Moana are down by 3. The Blues, of course, would love nothing more than to strike again before the end of the half. Again, they are going to the rolling maul. It's a rinse and repeat throughout this season for them. Been stopped once. I think Moana have done very well to shut it down, but the ball goes out there to Taufa Funaki. Hoskins a 2-2. Oh, 8 told to get out of it. That was Samisi Tupo Taialoa. Now Fusitua. To the right-hand side, Taufa Funaki again. Finds Ioane, who has to take it round his bootlaces. Before little knock-on on the ground from Funaki. Got caught on a boot in the breakdown. And right, that might be the last chance for the Blues of this half. We could do with moving up a few places to avoid the top 2 away, though. Says Fleshin. Yeah, it could be quite tough. Those upcoming ones. Looking at the table at the moment. So currently they'd be facing Leinster, wouldn't they? But if they can beat the Sharks, they can actually move right up into 6th and probably play the Sharks again the next contest. Oh no, that would almost mean that they play Glasgow in Scotland. There's still quite a bit that can happen, but yeah, a few of those results last night, or this morning, certainly reshuffled it. Must admit, I didn't expect Moana to be this close, says Studs Race. And Munster who, says Fleshin. And go, Moana, says L30. Oh, okay, scrum reset here. I wouldn't be surprised if Moana just boot this ball into touch at the end of this half, because they are normally pretty handy in a second 40 minutes. And they've just said the most important 40 minutes for both of these sides is coming just around the corner. One of these two teams is going to be able to walk away with a big victory here. The other will have to scratch and claw to still make it through to the next stage of the competition. The Blues are a little bit more in a box seat, but we've got to remember they've played one more game than Moana Pasifika and quite a few of the other sides in this competition, which means they need points. And the outcome could also shut down about 3 or 4 other teams' seasons. Looks like Garden Bishop will put it into touch, and that is going to be halftime in this contest. 14 points to 11. Close game between these two sides currently. What I'm quickly going to do is I'm going to see what the score was last time these two sides played. Because I believe at halftime, Moana were down by a bit more of a margin than this, as Finley on the bench. In terms of the benches, the Blues have got Finley Christie, Harry Plummer and Cole Forbes as their back replacements. They do have Renata off the bench as well. He has been scoring tries for fun as of late. But yeah, close game between these two sides. Relatively close in the women's match between Australia and USA too, I do see. And even closer was the match between New Zealand and Canada from the Women's Pacific Nations Series. Looking at the last time that these two sides played, it actually wasn't that long ago. I think it was about a month and a bit that they did end up going head-to-head. Blues vs Moana Pasifika. That was on the 12th of April. And the end score was 36 points to 17 in favour of the Blues. The halftime score in that contest was 24 points to 5. So a drastic improvement from Moana Pasifika, an extra 6 points compared to what they had last time round when they had the early try, or the late try in the half, from Samisi Tupo Taialoa. And then alongside that, we did see the last-minute try from Mark Talia in that first half to extend the lead to 24. In terms of what else we saw Patrick Tuipulotu, Bowden Barrett, and Ricky Riccatelli all scoring for the Blues in that first half. Rico not doing that much again. To be fair, they haven't used their backline that much. So same with Caleb Clark, Same with AJ Lamb. They've got world-class players in the back line, but Funaki for the first 20 or so minutes was more interested in just chipping it downfield and giving the ball back to Moana Pasifika. Bowden Barrett did a little bit of the same. So I don't think we can completely hold it against Rico. Like, he probably touched the ball more than some of those other guys across the back line, but just not really many chances. And Hope Finley are sitting on the bench at home, says TH. And also Moana can cause an upset. Blues fan mad at me, says Blues Nate. And Rico never does much for the Blues, says Stu's World. And I felt for Cardiff last night, that commentator laughing at the end. There was a bit out of order. Yeah, I thought that was pretty brutal, to be honest. Like, it sounded like he enjoyed it a bit too much. And we were doing the live stream, and because I have the commentary slightly turned down so that I don't hear too much, like, I could just hear it, and I thought, like, if you're a Cardiff supporter watching that, you're not going to like him much, are you? Hamish prediction, yeah, hat-trick. I don't think anyone's going to get a hat-trick in this game, I'll be honest. I think that the chance of a double for someone like an AJ Lamb could be on if we get a bit more movement in the back line, although, you know, we've also seen the one try for the Blues in terms of crossing the try line. I believe it was Patrick Tuipulotu, so he's got a bit of a chance of a double too. And Razor still going to pick Rico regardless. What's with Bricky Roof? Says Spider Mick. And as well, let's hold it against him, says Stu's World. And we're there, Proctor runs around looking for a gap. Rico runs straight. There's no gap to run through. And man of the match. First half man of the match. Is it bad to say Ardie Savia? Because, like, let's be honest, that man had a try about 15 minutes into the game. I was very surprised that one wasn't awarded. He had a great kick downfield. I watched a clip of a kid in New Zealand being followed by a great white shark in his kayak. Did you see that? I've seen one of an Australian who was, like, pretty much in the middle of nowhere, and he had the big shark going after him. But I don't know whether or not that was the same one. And come on, the Blues, says Sire Jr. And also, Hamish is looking so handsome today, says Ruth. In there as well. We might not be looking so handsome as you've said in about 10 hours' time when we are doing the middle of the night live stream. We have got the Dragons taking on the Bulls at 1 a.m. New Zealand time. And alongside that, we are also going to be covering the matchup between the Scarlets and the Sharks. Razor at the Crusaders. Picked on form, but last year for the All Blacks just seemed like he was Foster 2.0. Says a Sporting Kiwi. Let's go to the Blues, says King Zion. And out there as well. But yeah, very close game so far between these two teams. Kieran Tumafalau has scored the lone try for Moana Pasifika. They've also managed to get the two penalties over. And then the two for the Blues. Tuipulotu has one, and then the penalty try is the other one. They are just showing the replay of Ardie Savia. I think they're looking at that one again for Ardie Savia. That just, the more you look at it, the more it looks like a try. Yes, there's no denying that eventually it was behind the line, as in like short, but it just looked like it was a try for a start. Warriors just won 14 points to 12. If it's a clip of the bloke I've seen his channel, Matt Armstrong, says TH. I reckon penalty try is going to get the hat trick, says Colossus. I mean, to be fair, the Blues have gone for that rolling maul multiple times throughout that first half, and Moana at times have looked a little bit shaky defending it. So it could be maybe a double for the penalty try count. That was a try, and I can't believe the ref second-guessed that, says Studs Rays. But the thing is, right, yes, the ref went, I'm not sure, but then the TMO looked at it and went, nah, no conclusive evidence because Savia's hand was in front of the ball. But, you know, it looked pretty good. And Blues need to keep their focus, says Reuven. Go Moana, says Peresitini. Hopefully I said that correctly. Katie, where are you, yeet, says Blues Nate. Moana for the upset, come on, says Thunderfire. And Patrick Tuipulotu would also not be a bad choice for AB's captain. I like his style, says Gerhard. Yeah, seems like a good leader overall. And also wouldn't be a bad option in that locking duo for the ABs. They're just showing their lack of accuracy, poor Blues execution, costing them an attacking red zone, is the headline that they've got there. But you know, maybe just not quite as clinical as they would normally be. I'm going to have breakfast, pub scrummy Jack Hamish, says a Ruth in there as well. Bowden Barrett, he has got one conversion on the board. Of course, for anyone wondering how they've got one conversion for 2 converted tries, it is because of the penalty try being awarded, which you do not have to kick at the post for. It is the straight 7. And that was a bit of a costly moment for Moana Pasifika. The fact that they did concede 14 points throughout it. Number 10 jersey locked in for Artie. What a kick. Says not. Yeah, it was an incredibly impressive one. And I mean, the other week when he had that disallowed try, when he did that chip in behind, the man's got some skills with the feet, that is for sure. But they just said there, it's not for a... Yeah, James Parsons just clarifying there that the yellow card was for the penalty try, which it was. And then the other half of that, I mean, we haven't seen too bad discipline-wise for both of these sides. Maybe like 5 penalties if they're lucky. And draft Carson 500 mil. 40 rand, says Roof. As much as I like Mark and Tony, I would love Moana to win this, says Flesham. Well, the thing is, if Moana win, the Blues can still go through. Whereas if Moana lose this game, their chances of going through are extremely slim. And they have been the underdog story of this season. So it would be intriguing to see if they can somehow sneak in. But, yeah, it's a wait and see kind of situation, isn't it? For them, we have got there. I've been subscribed for 2 years, says King Zion. Yeah, quite a few of you guys have been around for at least a few Super Rugby seasons. You've been here, some of you in particular, during the whole time that we've seen the Sevens decline, which is a bit of a shame that the Sevens has changed so much over that time. But second half, not a mile away from taking place. And James Parsons says Jake Gordon will make the Lions squad. Hard to take him serious after that, says a sporting Kiwi. And oil, don't steal my crown, says Novmum. And also my cousin Anton in Johannesburg just sent me money for my pub brekkie, yay, says Roof there. So yeah, hopefully you are able to enjoy it. And bless you, says King. And there as well. But second half of this contest, like I said, not a mile away. The benches, it will be interesting to see what kind of impact that they can bring for the Blues. They have got the likes of Finlay Christie, Harry Plummer, and Cole Forbes as their back replacements. They've got Marcel Renata in the forward pack for Moana Pasifika. They've got Alan Craig, who can be a handy man when it comes to the lineouts. They've got Sione Vili Talatui, Matavao, Garden Basham already made his way onto the field. That was due to a Pellegrini HIA, and hopefully that's not going to be too serious for him. I've been stuck on 75 XP all game rigged. I honestly don't know how it works. Like, we got a donation yesterday, and I think Xavier, who did the donation, didn't get any extra XP for it, compared to someone who, like, said, like, just some random high. So I don't know how it works. LFG up the Blues, or up the Bulls, go the Blues, says TH there. And who the best now, says Shane, is in, like, who the best on the table, I assume you're asking. So in that case, at the moment, the way that it sits, the Chiefs are sitting number 1 on 41 points with a points differential of 136. Crusaders are sitting in second. Same amount of games played, 41 points on the board. But that points differential is definitely boosting them a bit above the others, but not so much towards the Chiefs. And first, the Brumbies are playing the Reds later on tonight. So the Brumbies at the end of this round can actually be sitting number 1. But they would have played the extra game ahead of anyone else. The Reds, they still have that game in hand, kind of, but that is going to be null and void once they do play their game tonight. So yeah, at the moment, 2 teams on 41, with a Brumbies team just behind. And we have got the first in community leaderboard. Oh, I'm first in community leaderboard, and hope Hoskins makes the All Blacks. Let's go the Blues, let's go Blues, says King Zion. And Xavier Barrett tried, says Roof. So Xavier should have had one, but it was disallowed. Barrett hasn't looked like scoring too much as of yet, but he also hasn't really had a break in the line or anything along those lines. It's been more of a defensive effort in some cases from Bowden. And that is down to the amount of kicks that we've seen from Taufafu Naki as well as Barrett. Reds are playing top 23. Yeah, I think they have to for this game. They've gone with roughly what they can in terms of their better side. Of course, a few injuries have kind of impacted it a little bit. A moment, we'll go like this. So at the moment, in the odds department, of course, the Blues slight favourites, not by much, which is quite nice to see. Of course, Moana heading into this contest were considered as the big unders. Where in the world is Dane Coles? Hurricanes and AB Hooker. Seems I have not heard his name in quite a while. That's because he's retired. So that might be why. Let's go Moana Pasifika, says Syntax. And it was me yesterday, says Ruth. I hope the Brumbies beat the Reds. I want them out of the top 6. Oh, so you're trying to get the Reds right down. So currently the way that it sits one moment, for the Reds to lose their spot completely from the top 6, I don't think is very possible. To be honest, like in terms of what's left, like Moana, if they won both of their games, they could maybe go ahead of the Reds. But the problem with that is then the Reds, if they get any form of bonus point, are probably uncatchable for a few of these other sides. Plus the Hurricanes, like the best bet, if you want to see the Reds gone, is to have them either 5th or 6th and then get knocked out by one of the favourites in the competition. But I don't think they're going to drop completely out of the top 6 with the amount of games they've got remaining and with the separation of the top 8. Maybe if Moana win this game and then the Blues win their next contest up against the Tars with a decent margin and the Reds lose all their games by large margins too. Really, Amish, still young, not so. He's getting up there a little bit, Dane Coles, in terms of his age. I think he's 38 years old, so like a bit older than some maybe thought that he is. Members only for live streamers, more fun and safer, says Blues Nate. And we have got there, Coles is retired. He turned up to a company interested in a new career, cool guy. Or turned up at our company, says Studs Race. And we have got there, thanks folks, the pub opens at 11. But now they are just talking to Blues assistant coach. Penalties conceded 6 against the Blues compared to the 5 against Moana Pasifika. Lineouts 1 was seen 10-1 by the Blues. We see at the moment the standings on the table. It would put the Blues back into the 5th above of the Hurricanes. Some nervous moments, I'm sure, throughout the second half for these two teams. Have to make sure that they fire right from the get-go. 14 points to 11. Moana Pasifika making their way back out of the tunnel. And Crusaders did much better than thought. Without some firepower available. Well done, says Shane. Are we going into the next half? They certainly are. Both sides have made their way out of the tunnel. And they are now ready to go. They show their meters made. Actually pretty similar. Both sides having just over the 300 meters. Blues having an extra 100 kicking meters throughout the first half. What a hooker that guy was. Please give me the regards. Or give him my regards, I should say. From Gerard. Right, Anton Segner. He has made his way on. That is for Cam Christie. So quite an early switch here for the Blues. I'm not sure whether or not that is injury related or whether that is just something that they had predetermined. This is a very important 14 minutes. Pellegrini also gets to come back out onto the field after his HIA. I think Tuma Falau tried to earn the penalty there. He tried to make his way through Caleb Clark. Moana all the way to the semi-final, says L30. Because he was one hell of a hooker. Feisty, great hands and fast. Like the later day Fitzy. For me, says Gurno Beck and Steve Devine. Pick Sam Knock as his halfback in this his all-time Blues team. Says the Sporting Kiwi. Jumping onto the ball, just losing the footing for Samuel Slade. We have good there. If anyone will go for a risk versus reward try, says Thunder. On up for that. Clark knocks it back to Satutu. Just talking to Tana Umanga at the moment. He'll be relatively happy. Like I mentioned last time these two sides played, it was 24 points to 5 at halftime in favour of the Blues. AJ Lamb tries to fend to Vita Offa. Drags him down. 40 metres out from the line now. Tolfa Funaki back across to Bowden Barrett. Finds Fusitua. Funaki, I suppose, taking a little while to get out. And once again, they're going to be kicking this one. They're 45 metres out from Moana's line. And again, decided to send it into the 22. A mark is called from Moana Pasifika. So once more, just a bit of a mistake, I feel, from the Blues, tactics-wise. Dave Gibbons, the best ever Blues halfback for me personally. Says a sporting Kiwi. Kick downfield from Pellegrini. Looks like there's a player down at the moment around the halfway line for Moana Pasifika. So currently playing with 14. Corey Evans does put this ball high. Tamatine went for the catch and it's going to be knocked on. Drop ball and we're going to have a reset here. That was one of the quickest knock-on advantage I think we've seen this year. And it's going to be back now into the hands of Moana Pasifika. Patrick Pellegrini once again going to go for the kick. Looks like Sanarevi is trying to try and run off this injury. Or Evans again kicks downfield. Watching that one closely was William Havili. We'll kick this one downfield again. Awkward bouncing, but it sits up for Clark. Gives it across to Bowden Barrett. Will run it up to the 22. Does sink it into touch. And up the wires, 5 are on the trot. Says Ed Smith. And also with their great good boom. Hello, Nate the Bomb. And also Blues will do whatever it takes to win the match. Says King Zion. Currently just the 3 points difference between these two sides. Right, Angus Gardner getting a little bit frustrated. Up to the line. That doesn't look like much of a gap at line out time, so it will be very competitive, I would think, this line out time. Savage. They go up nicely, controlled there in terms of the timing. Come on, Moana, says Thunder. Can anyone tell me where Carlos Spencer is nowadays? Speaking about special players, he was the ultimate, says Gerhard. I saw an interview with him not too long ago. I can't remember if he's doing a bit of coaching or what his thing is at the moment. I think it's still something rugby related. Samuel Slade, tackled by Taufa Funaki, who didn't quite have their hands on the ball. Did you watch the Warriors match? I did not know, but it sounds like it was a pretty decent one. Tamatine now shifting away to the left-hand side. Artie Savia trying to go through. Tamatine back across to the left-hand side. Patrick Pellegrini tried to lure in the defence. Instead, they absolutely smashed him. Carlos Spencer coached the Blues women's team, says the Sporting Kiwi. And another knock-on coming from Moana. Right, the mark has already been made, says the referee, so they're going to be getting into it. I was a bit nervous for that Wars game. I almost lost a lead in 10 minutes. That can happen with the Warriors. Every once in a while, they like to just get the heart rates of the fans up that little bit more. What time is the first URC game today? It will be at 1 a.m. New Zealand time, so 3 p.m. South African time. And we are going to be scheduling that pretty much straight after this stream. So in about maybe 45 minutes or so, maybe even less time, I will have that one scheduled and you'll be able to see exactly when it is starting. We're going to be covering 2 out of the 3. And Kiwi, they must be champs themselves. Then having such a legend as a coach, says Gerhard. And up the wire, says Soa Jr. In terms of by quarter, Moana Pasifika, they have scored more points in the last 20 minutes of a game than any other side in Super Rugby Pacific. They are 4th for the third quarter. So they are normally a side that really ramp it up, whereas the Blues are 8th and 7th in terms of their rankings, but they are first for the second quarter, the 20 to 40 minutes. Carlos Spencer's son Peyton is in the Blues squad, if I'm not mistaken. I think he is, isn't he? And then he was also in the 7 circuit for a little bit of time. But now, holding strong, their big scrum, Moana Pasifika, the team who get the penalty. Okay, changed your bind and came straight across as the call there from Angus Gardner. This one is a kickable 3 if they want it, but they're kicking for the corner. Moana Pasifika looking aggressive at the start of the second half. That can be a make or break moment here because this will either lead to a try, which will give them the lead, or that's a mistake that could have given them some points had they gone for the 3 points instead. Oh, well, this could be another thriller, says NZ Riot. Is it the second half? It certainly is, yes. Currently sitting 45 minutes through. Marcel Renata makes his way on. Finley Christie comes on as well. I do feel like Taufa Funaki was making a few too many errors. See if Finley Christie can have a blinder here. It's been a bit in and out of form throughout the season, I think is the best way of describing it. Marcel Renata, though, he certainly found some recently. Nicely claimed by Samuel Slade. Dragged down by Dalton Papali'i illegally. Now, that's about the second or third penalty against that man, so he's got to be careful not to go to the bin. Now back across to the left-hand side. Samuel Slade Papali'i trying to get on it. There's no advantage. They'll go back for the penalty again. Really want to watch that scrum in slow motion. Lots going on, says Studs Race. Damn, that's rough, says Thunder Fire. And also, they should have took 3 points. Don't risk it, says King. And it looks like they're going to risk it again here, though. They want to go with a tap and go for Moana. Looks like it's going to be Sana Revi. He's just taking some deep breaths. He's acting like he's waiting for the ref to give them the go-ahead. But really, that was just to get a couple more deep breaths in before going. Now, Tuipulotu, that is Moana Pasifika's Tuipulotu. Just try and go for a Marcel Renata in off his feet. That's another penalty advantage. The goal line defence from the Blues has been a little bit cynical at times throughout this match so far. Quick hands, nicely done by Savia. Great step from William Arvilli. Flicks it on the outside to Kieran Tamapalau, who's only a couple metres short of the try line again. Tamatine pops it up to some messy Tupo Taialoa, who's dropped it. They'll go back. Another penalty. This almost has to be last warning, I think, for the Blues. Only a couple metres out again. 18 in off his feet. I'd say the big benefit for Marcel Renata is the fact that he's only just made his way onto the field. And bro, don't risk Moana. Watch this, they might lose the ball. And let's go Moana, says Thunder. The last 5 penalties have all been against the Blues. And now Moana say we'll take the 3. And seeing the body on the line. Great tackle by On Hardy, says Studs Rays. Have you seen the run it straight thing that's going on? If so, thoughts? I mean, if that's what people want to do with their time, I guess it's hard to stop them. And I guess it's better than doing it in some sort of controlled environment rather than giving themselves concussions randomly and having long-term effects. So, like, it's not ideal for the health, but people seem to enjoy watching it. And if the people who are doing it don't mind the CTE after, like, I guess they can do it. And go the Blues, says Goat. And finally take the 3, says King. You should be a rapper or an auctioneer, says Pro Player. But that kick has gone over from Patrick Pellegrini. That'll make the score now 14 points to 14. But you wonder, for Moana, if they had forced one more penalty against the Blues there, could it have been a card? Or at least a warning for a yellow card against this Blues side? How much you reckon the Dragons will enjoy the Bulls scrum this afternoon? No, I foresee a hiding for the Dragons. I think that even if they handle the scrum, they're still going to probably lose by a large margin. It's just a sad reality of this point of the season. And the Bulls, they will be determined to really go out and make a statement in this matchup. Yes, they can't go any higher, but I do think with the way that the table sits, I think I've only got the one from last night. Yeah, theoretically, like, Glasgow can still go above the Bulls if they get themselves a bonus point win if the Bulls were to lose to the Dragons. So I think the Bulls will just go out there and try and finish it off. And where's the yellow card now? Says Donna. I mean, they must have been very close to getting one, the Blues, just out from the goal line. And multiple infringements in a row. And I still go with the Blues. Says King Zion. Now Samuel Slade pops it back into the hands of Jonathan Tamatine. Patrick Pellegrini. Nicely taken by Bowden Barrett. Running this one forward. We'll go for the kick up high. Chasing after it and slaps it back straight into the hands of Kieran Tamapalau though. The Dragons pilot light has gone out. Says Kurno Rig now. Pellegrini. He tried the chip. No way around Marcel Renata. In fact, they're going to go back for the penalty. He dropped the shoulder into him. You lowered your body shape is the comment there from the referee. So that's 2 in a row against Renata for different infringements. Sam but I go for the Blues, says King Zion. Moana Pasifika set piece is unrecognisable. So much improvement. And the Bulls are going to pay respect to Cornell today. They're going to pay respect by demolishing the Dragons. How do I watch my Moana? Says Yeshua. I would recommend going on the Super Rugby website. It will show you your best options to watch depending on what country you're in. If you're in New Zealand, it's on Sky Sport though, but it is a paid subscription. Unfortunately, who won the penalty? Penalty was won by Moana Pasifika. So a few too many penalties going against the Blues lately. He stood his ground there, Marcel Renata, which you are allowed to do, but I think it was that little half dip that he did just to bulldoze into him a little bit more. Nicely taken by Tom Savage. Back to Savia. Cross to Julian. The Savia brothers linking up. Sadly, we didn't get to see it too much this season due to the injury of Julian. And now 5 metres out from the line again for Moana. Tack and run forward. Rennet is living a dangerous game trying to get the turnover in that breakdown. Breaking through for Tuipulotu. Just that little bit closer. Segna looking for the counter ruck. Ball still there for Moana though. Just boding his time here. Another pick and go. They are short of the try line. Moana, will they shift it? I see Finley Christie defending on this left-hand side. Going to go back across to the right though. Tupotaeloa dragged down. Once again, Savia just short. Lalomilo gets closer again. Now on the back line, Pellegrini. Ball on the inside. Across to Davida. Off 1 metre out from the line again for Moana. Great defence from the Blues. And a new advantage for offside. This could be danger for them. The no-look pass from Tamatine. There's the knock-on. There's the blow of the whistle. This has to be a warning here for the Blues, does it not? That's about 4 penalties now within their 5 metre line. I think they're going to go for a shot at the post more than likely here for Moana. This game is getting close. We'll be covering Bulls vs Dragons today. We certainly will be, yes. They are taking on another 3 Moana Pasifika, but another penalty 5 metres out from their line here, the Blues. They are really playing with fire here. The last thing that they want is to get another man sent to the bin. And how far behind Sevu Reece is Julian Savia for all-time try scorers? Sevu Reece is ahead of him. TJ Perenara and Sevu both sitting on 65. Julian on 63, I think it was. Again, where's the yellow for repeated infringing? Says Donna there. Apparently they were on the piss in Cape Town after the Stormers match, says Fleshin. And come on, Moana. Says, yes, sure, but this is a chance for Pellegrini again to add some more points. And it has gone over. 53 minutes into the contest. Moana take the lead for the first time since about the first maybe 10 minutes of this contest. In fact, it was a little bit later than that, to be fair, probably around 25 minutes. And come on, Moana Pasifika, this is fantastic. Says Studs Rays. I once again am a little bit concerned, though. Just like the first half, I feel like having a 3-point lead up against this Blue side who are so dangerous when they get it right might not be enough. Slap back, stolen by Miracle Faialangi. Link it up with Lalomilo. Lalomilo, gonna be a foot race. Thinking about the pass on the inside. Almost goes into touch, but just couldn't quite link up with his teammates. Moana Pasifika, though, over the ball. And the turnover is good. 10 metres out from the line. Savia passes it across, bounces it to William Arvelli, who goes for the cross kick, sits up into the hands of Davida Offa, who once again will be just short of the try line. Savia pops it up to Tuipulotu. Now again, just taking the moment to decide what way to go. It's going to be Julian Savia, 2 metres out. Looked like there was another pick and go in the middle there for Moana Pasifika. One more penalty here has to be a yellow for the Blues, or at least the last warning. Savia now goes across to Tuipulotu. Blues looking for the steal. Berry's told to leave it. And over through the middle. Try comes for Sanarevi. And Moana Pasifika take the lead by 8. I think they're just going to be checking everything here by the sounds of it. Go Moana, 2 more tries, please. Says Faye and Power game, says Anthony. And Blues will make a comeback watch. And also, let's go, says Thunder Fire. A Miracle Fire Langi for Samoa captain, says the Sporting Kiwi. And Ye says Taeona. But just knocked back off kickoff from the Blues. And it went straight into the hands of Fire Langi. Then from there, Lalomilo. He almost stood on the line there, to be fair. They're going to show a different angle, and this one will probably go right back. Yeah, his foot was on the line. It's going to be no try about 20 minutes back that way. So this is going to be no try. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go right back across the field from about 2 minutes. Was it in an attacking phase, says Angus Gardner. The answer from the TMO is absolutely it is. And this is now going to be the second disallowed try for Moana Pasifika in this contest. Oh, hang on. Hang on. It was not the last attacking phase, is the comment there from the TMO. There was a turnover ball after that, which means that it's not a part of the same phase, which theoretically by the laws would say that this cannot be overruled. Plays continued. The Blues get the ball back in. So within protocol is the comment there from Angus Gardner. That would be now, meaning that they can't go back to look at that. Yes, it was out, don't get me wrong. But because they haven't found that before, so they're just confirming this. But within the laws, they cannot check this. So the question is, are they going to break protocol as they're just asking to be able to check this? There's a clear foot and touch, says Angus Gardner. Okay, Ardie Savea is trying to tell them the law. It's attacking phase. The Blues got the ball for a short amount of time. Okay, Savea is just saying there, you can only go back when it's a penalty. You're allowed 3 rucks. I think that law might be slightly wrong, but it is still the attacking phase. If it's the attacking phase, the Blues got the ball, says Ardie Savea. So for that should cancel out this being an attacking phase. But that's going to be no try against Moana Pasifika. You might as well just give the Blues the win now because they're finding every possible way to stop Moana from winning this game. Whether it's within the laws or not, they're going to go for it. There is the foot and touch. That is one thing as well we should mention. It is, if it was the same attacking phase, no try. But since then, the Blues got themselves the ball, so that takes away the attacking phase moment. And we have got there, why waste so much time for something this? But try to hurry up scrums and other parts of stoppage, says Seller. Refs don't understand the law, it doesn't make sense, says Anthony. Yeah, so pretty much the gist of that one, it's no try at the end of the day for what they've called it. But pretty much the law is they had to change it because of that World Cup final and they had to try and reshuffle it a little bit so that it wouldn't get into that scenario again. But pretty much during your attacking phase, you can go back as many phases as you want to look at anything that may have happened. Due to the Blues getting that ball, it then meant that Moana Pasifika's attacking phase was over. They then took it back, which is the start of a new attacking phase. And then that is where we've seen them go further back to find the disallowed try. Now it's going to be thrown in. Ricky Riccatelli, the Blues, they will once again be thanking their lucky stars for that. The thing is, like, they haven't played that poorly, and that ref is pissing me off. Ugh, says Thunderfire. Just give it to Blues. Says Mayma Bell. I mean, Savia's try in the first half was a try. They didn't give it to him. That one, under the laws, even though the foot was in touch, was a try. Leave the ref alone, says Spider Mech. But hypocritical from yourself, Spider Mech. We'll just go back to the first half because your very first comment about the game was that you literally said ref. So, like, you know, like leaving the ref alone. Yeah. But now, chance here for Moana Pasifika. Leave the ref alone, Spider Mech. Now going off to the right-hand side. And they are still on attack here for Moana Pasifika. Now let's go Moana tuning in from Hawaii, says Samoa Mustang. And shut up, Amish, there was a foot in touch. It was in touch, there's no denying it, but it wasn't the same attacking phase. So, you know, what's the point in the law book if we don't follow it? Now 24 minutes remaining, and Moana are going to have to dig extremely deep here to find a way of getting back into this contest. And get rid of the TMO. It was easier when the ref could simply say he didn't see it. Now they see everything and still don't know, says Studs Rays. And is there any of the Blues play where there's no drama? They've had a few controversies this year. There's going to be the knock-on for the Blues, them from Moana, so it will be a scrum feed for Moana Pasifika here, 30 metres out from the line. And we have got there, it's a two-law system, says Drape. Caleb Clark, they are just showing, he scored 32 tries throughout his career. I think he's got the ball twice in this game, which I just don't think that's enough. You know, he's a phenomenal player who just needs the ball in his hands. But they have been very kicking orientated at times, the Blues. We did see an extra 100 kicking metres. And we have got there, go Moana, says Demon the 11th. But now, still the 3 points. Okay, I think Grant Nisbet just said that Moana were given the chance to be able to go through the law book in that scenario. Oh, nice ball on the short side for Miracle Langi, but it would have taken an extra 2 or so minutes. I think Savia was keen for it, but there's going to be another advantage. So Tutu in off his feet trying to slap it out of the hands of the halfback. This has to be close to a yellow. What is the score? Score currently is 17-14. That try was disallowed. It doesn't want to take it away, although they're about to possibly score it again. Ball on the inside. Kieran Tumafalau got the grounding. Is this one a try for Moana Pasifika? I'm not watching the game, but are they actually forcing more errors on the Blues? They've been good in the contestable kicks so far, Moana Pasifika. The Blues have got quite a bit of their hands on it, but that is the second try of the night for Kieran Tumafalau. And get in there, you beauty, says Studs Rays. And it can be a try, says Zion. And also tries, oh no, time's off. I think they're going to check this last one to see whether or not it went forward. It looks back. So I think it will be fine. And within the next 10 years, we will see robot refs. Here's a JG. But yeah, nice slap inwards. And the grounding is there for Kieran Tumafalau. Is that score right, please? It is now correct. So originally they got that try taken away. But now it is back. And it's now 22 points to 14. One-way traffic, 10 minutes. Blues defending hard out, says Studs Rays. But Pellegrini sitting there 4 from 5 in terms of off the kicking tee. No, bruv, says Thunder Fire. But now ready to line up this kick. Pellegrini misses to the side. So the remaining 21 minutes. These two sides separated by 8 points. So far, Kieran Tumafalau has got himself the double off the cross tick of Pellegrini, and then it was slapped back infield from William Harvelli. In fact, it was Tavita Offa, my apologies. And then Kieran Tumafalau put up his shark fin. Sounds like a couple more changes are about to be made here for this Blues side. Corey Evans taken off. And that will bring on Cole Forbes, well retained from Caleb Clark off the kickoff. Finley Christie using it quickly. Riccatelli also taken off. That is for Kurt Eklund. Pick and go from Eklund already getting into the action. I don't think the mark should be allowed, like in general. Like you're not allowed to mark the ball. Now back off to the right-hand side. Oh, in fact, they shift it left instead. Bowden Barrett going high with it. Clark chasing after a miscommunication almost there for Moana, but it is marked from Pellegrini inside of his 22. Yes, in general, says Kiwi Rob. There are a lot of the laws at the moment that you seem to not like. Like, you don't like the mark. There was something else as well the other week, wasn't there, that you said shouldn't be allowed. I can't remember what it was. What's the score, mate? Currently 22-14 after 60 minutes. And lads, this game got me sweating, says Thunder Fire, and desperate times for the Blues. And come on, you Blues, you got this, says Gary Thompson. Is Mark Talia playing? He is not, no. Still suspended. Will be back next week, though. Well, the week after, because they don't have a game next week, but the week after up against the Tars, that is when we see Mark Talia returning. Sign of things to come for the ABs. Barrett aimless kicking, says Scrotimus. Now thrown in, Anton Segner. Finley Christie goes into the middle to Taeli. Miracle Langi taken off the field, and that is going to be for Sione Havili Talatui. Bowden Barrett short ball to Segner. Moana, they'll need a big old penalty somewhere along the way here, but a yellow card could be absolutely critical. Oh, that's a bad injury for Anton Segner. That man's only just come back from an injury. AJ Lamb's yelling out to the ref saying, can we please stop this? But it looks like they're going to try and continue. Marcel Renata now goes forward to the short side. So because Segner isn't a head knock, they have decided to continue. He said that no fun was allowed, says Christopher. And affected aimless kicking, says Bullet Boom. And I think that's why they took Talfa Funaki off quite early. He was doing a bit of the same, kicking deep into Moana Pasifika territory. Good pick and go from Tui Pilotu round the side of the breakdown. 19 minutes remaining. And the Blues, from about 19 out, will have another attacking chance. Cole Forbes off the bench, pops it up to Ioane, who tries to step around Savia, who eventually drags him down and gets onto the ball. And it's another steal for Moana. Offload to Sione Aveli Talatui. AJ Lamb onto the ball. Nah, he's lost the footing. Now Pellegrini, he'll kick this one downfield towards the sideline. Right now they are going to stop the game for Anton Segner. This redemption arc for Moana lad. So this will be a Blues scrum now. I would assume it would be from where Cole Forbes caught that ball. But it does not look good for Anton Segner. Stayed down for a long time, and it does look like a neck injury. Now, like I mentioned, that man's only just come back from a recent injury too. Okay, Finley Christie going over saying something about the gain line. Angus Garner going, can I come back to you, please? We're just checking on a guy who's lying on the ground. And they are going TMO here. So they're checking the shot on the player who is down. And it's Lalomelo. Oh, it's head contact from Pipisana Patafilo. It was the second man coming in. It's probably going to be, I would think they'll look at this as a yellow. It's the second reaction as Segner was already being tackled. So I think that will save it from being a red because of the initial shot that came in. So he's the second tackler. There is an arm wrap. I think this is a yellow. Shoulder to head is the call there, but I think there is slight mitigation, only slight. Still a big shot coming in. So it reaches the yellow card threshold. And we have got there, no, it's red at all day, says Kiwi Rob. We had one a few weeks ago that was pretty similar to this. You said it was only a yellow because it wasn't involving the Blues. So I feel like, you know, it's an unfortunate one. It is a collision big time, and it will be at least a yellow. But I think because Lalomelo put in the first hit, it may be slightly changed the direction of Anton Segner. And normal league tackle, says Anoya and go Moana, says AJ there. And it is going to be a yellow card. So Pipisana Patavilo, he probably made his way onto the field like 3 minutes ago. And now he is already making his way off. The card is under review, ladies and gentlemen. He ducked, says Anoy there. And it sounds like they are going to be stretching Anton Segner off of the field. Why are you shouting at us, Kiwi Rob? When he doesn't put caps, people don't listen to him, is normally the gist of it, so he has to shout. But Pipisana Patafilo, he will be off the field for the next 10 minutes, which will bring to about 9 minutes remaining. And Tackler is in his way up at the point of contact. It's close to red. Yeah, like it's definitely at least yellow. It's half if it's a red, says Fleshin. You're on a Hamish sharp rugby memory. Respect to you, says Kernovek. Is Segner the Dutch guy? He's the German guy. Dutch guy is Holland. Fabian Holland, that is. Come on, Moana, we need yous. Says, yes, sure. But the last card that came for Moana led to 14 points for the Blues. So this could be the difference maker in this contest. They are just showing the road to the final for Moana. They would need to beat either the Chiefs or the Hurricanes in their next couple of weeks. We have there, what's the point of protecting the head contact by World Rugby Hamish if that's not a red card? Once again, you've said in games where the Blues have made the tackle throughout the season that would only be a yellow. I get that when it happens to the Blues, it hits you right in the feels and you get quite emotional about it, but in general, you're normally against it. But now in this game, you're firmly in favour of it. I agree that it's at least a yellow. I think that this one, in terms of what we've seen from the TMO, it's probably going to be a red. Look at what else has gone against Moana in this contest. So it would not be surprising one bit. One-eyed guy says bullet boom. And my family is getting hype, says Thunder Firewell Moana in 6th. And we have got there, he's not having it, Amish, says Kerno Wick. He was dropping it to yellow, says Stu's World. And Kiwi Rob Mad says Demon the 11th. And come on, Moana, says Taiona. And who do you think is most likely to win the URC? There's a few sides that are really up there at the moment. And like Leinster, of course, are the side that everyone's looking at as can they redeem themselves? Maybe Hamish, you need yellow cards in the chat, says DH. And yellow is reasonable, says Matt. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Like, players have taken contact before like that and haven't gone down and haven't stayed down in that manner. In fact, some haven't even gone off for the HIA. Sometimes it just takes that knock at the slightly wrong angle to cause some damage. And like I said, Segner only just coming back from an injury, although I thought that was actually, that was lower body, wasn't it, for Anton Segner's last one? So sadly collecting a few injuries here. And we have got there, come on the Blues. Oh, okay, they were just talking about France versus New Zealand, I think that was, and they said about the fact that France want to send a much stronger squad than initially expected. When my man can't meet me, it hits me right in the feels, says Christopher Devet. They are saying on the broadcast France are expected to be sending a stronger team than we initially thought. That would be great news, and that's the thing. Like, that's, I think, what the players want, and hopefully they can win the argument, although at the end of the day, contracts are a thing that might say otherwise. I reckon it should be a penalty, yellow or red. I think it's, for me anyway, like, we've seen it consistently given as more of a yellow throughout the season, not just in Super Rugby, but also in other competitions around the world. Lalomilo made the first initial tackle, and then Pepisana Patafilo came in secondary. And you're in that scenario, sometimes the directional change can hit a little bit higher, but without DuPont, they aren't the same squad. There's Kiwi Rob. I mean, they're a pretty decent one, though. I got to remember. And I feel like underestimating the French is the last thing that we should be doing, because they're a pretty good side. DuPont or otherwise, they can still really cause a problem. And I'll say one thing, Maxime Luku. If you don't know him, you will when he comes to New Zealand, because he's probably going to tear us open just like DuPont would have. It should only be red cards, might start behaving themselves better. Any red cards this season? Quite a few. Talia's still on his suspension from his red card in a tip tackle of Tim Ryan. As the guy effed up after the hit, says Matt. So he did, I think he just kinked his neck a little bit. So they are taking the precautions. He's been taken off the field, so the play is now back underway, ladies and gentlemen. And Bowden Barrett will kick this one into touch. They've got the man advantage here in this contest. Go Moana, says Kirisamasi. And France are going to have a very good squad. I reckon they have a chance for the next World Cup, says James. And Blues losing this game, kicking away possession, says Roof. Yeah, although with this man advantage, this is going to be their big moment. 10 minutes of all-out attack, I believe we're going to be seeing here from the Blues. And it's whether or not Moana can dig deep enough to be able to cut it off. Now, it's going to be thrown in here. Now rolling more. Hamish, are we doing any URC matches later? We've got 2 matches of the URC. The Bulls taking on the Dragons and the Scarlets taking on the Sharks. Taking place at 1 a.m. and 5:30 a.m. We will be scheduling them straight after this live stream. Now rolling more has been shut down. It's not really going. Oh no, Berry's got it off the back. Tries to pick and go. Sitting about 10 metres out from the line. That was a miscommunication. I don't even think anyone got a hand to that for the Blues. Josh Fuzitoa facing the wrong way. Drop ball on the ground, but it went backwards. Now trying to get in that breakdown is Moana Pasifika Finley Christie. Counter ruck. Doesn't work out for Moana again. Samuel Slade told to get out of it. Same with Tupo Taeloa. Pulls out of it. Dalton Papali'i. 3-man tackle on him. And the penalty goes to Moana Pasifika in through the side and off the feet from, I think it was Josh Berry, either that or oh no, they're showing Dalton Papali'i for the man who was penalised for it. And did they get a yellow? They have got the yellow for now, but there is still a chance that it could be upgraded to a red. How many minutes left? Another 17 minutes in this contest. Can't believe Artie's clearance kick was insane, says Matt. Yeah, it was a fantastic kick from the man. Pellegrini does get that one into touch, so Moana will now have to line up with Sam Molly having his first throw since making his way onto the field. Barrett gone old, says Tom. And Springboks will win their 5th World Cup, trust me, says LFG. And Moana playing well, says Demon the 11th. And you can see the frustration on the face of the coach. Papa Lee, surprised that he was penalised for that one. He's had a bit of an ill-disciplined game. I think that's about his 3rd penalty against him now. Him and Marcel Renate having a competition. See who can get penalised the most. But now, rolling more here for Moana Pasifika as they move up to the halfway line. Which team got the yellow card? It was Moana Pasifika. Pipisana Patafilo, his second, or sorry, not his second, but Moana Pasifika's second in this one. And now, ball is there for the Blues by the looks of it. They have managed to get a very crucial turnover. Here comes a run from Bowden. Barrett wide cutout pass. Finds Forbes in the outside channel. Oh, he slipped down. And he's just knocked himself out on William Harveli's knee. And I think he's actually broken the shin, maybe, of Harveli too. He slipped over. Harveli does not look in a good way. That is one way to take out a player. They're playing with 13 at the moment. Mark is called. No Savia. Decides to run it down the wing. And he's going to have a bit of a crack. Tries to step. Offloads now. And Moana in open space once more. They move into the half. They're playing with 13 as Havili is still down. Great body position there from Tuipulotu. Extremely unlucky not to get the steal. He dived to his leg. It wasn't on purpose though. He just slipped and fell forward, unfortunately. And yeah, it was the ugliest chop block you can see from an attacking player, but none of it was on purpose. It was just a really unfortunate collision. Tamatine kicking this one downfield. I'm not sure about that tactic. They've just given the ball right back into the hands of the Blues, who will now be able to attack. Big shot on Bowden Barrett. Moana trying to get over the ball. They can't do it. Christie almost losing that one. Play on that's diving on the ball from Moana, and there was a knock on, I thought, from Moana Pasifika, but they have now got the possession once again. Renata trying to get the steal. Now, if you're Moana, you actually need a penalty here because or else they will go back and find that knock on. Back across, Tamatine goes to Alan Craig. Tackled 22 metres out from the line. Satutu almost gets that steal once more. Come on, Moana says all in the game. And what the hell is going on in this game? It's been hectic. To be fair, both sides have been throwing everything at the other. We've seen yellow cards, we've seen injuries, we've seen disallowed tries. We've seen some massive shots being put in. Cross-kick tries as well, but now another advantage this time against Patrick Tuipulotu in off the feet in the breakdown. It's about the fourth time that the Blues have been penalised for that. Savia tries to chip and chase. It sits up for him. He's tackled by Papali'i. Now back across to the left-hand side. That man just does not give up. Even though his legs are looking like they're starting to give up on him, the heart is still there. Moana Pasifika on attack, 15 metres out. Wide cut-out pass to Kieran Tamafilau. Tries to grab it, picks the ball up and scores the try in the corner for his hat-trick. And Moana Pasifika now with a very significant lead. 13 points to the 14. And what just happened, says Studs Race. Huge penalty advantage. His leg's not working. Although ask Harvili how that feels, because he went down, he got the... He's getting stretched out by the medic, but before he did the stretching, he had to make sure he gave him a handshake for getting his hat-trick. But Adi Savia, under the penalty advantage, just kept on trying to run. And then went out wide, grubbed it through. Bowden Barrett tripping over Tamafilau as he kicked it in behind. GG scored with 13 players. And Mark Nawanganetawasi try, says, annoy there. Let's go Moana. And you got this, Moana Pasifika, says Mr. Ralia. Hopefully I've said that correctly. But now lining up this kick, Patrick Pellegrini. This is a tough kick. It would make a big difference though. 3 minutes 30 remaining of the yellow card. And Pellegrini hits the post and it bounces back out. That's now two that man has had that haven't quite gone over. And let's go Moana, says James. And come on, Patrick, says Thunderfire. That kick I think was needed. Their handshake was absolute class, says Fleshin. But yeah, the medic said, I know you're hurting, but congratulations. Yep, good job. And then get the leg and try and fix it for him. Is this embarrassing for All Blacks? They have, for all the All Blacks they have in the Blues. As a Blues fan, I just have to bow down, Artie, as a god amongst men, says Tony there. And another advantage, this time for Moana Pasifika, off a knock-on from the Blues. And they go for the penalty in the breakdown, not rolling away against Josh Berry this time. I think Grant Nisbet in the commentary box, or it might even be Tony Johnson, sorry, has just said, is there going to be a yellow card today? Savia, oh no, that's William Harvili. He's getting off. Unfortunately, his knee was bleeding as well. That might actually be like a serious leg break. What happened to the guy with the broken leg? Walked it off? No way he walked that off. He is now getting stretchered down the tunnel and his season will more than likely be done. Because with that significant amount of blood, you wonder whether or not maybe the bone has gone through the skin. Just speculation, but normally you don't see that much blood for just a little like half by snap, you know. But Malani Matavao will now make his way onto the field, thrown over the top. going to the hands of Matavao already. 11 minutes remaining. And the penalty goes the way of the Blues for no clear release from Moana Pasifika. And carted off in the golf buggy, says all in the game. Territory and defence, boy. And we have got there, nah, didn't make it, sick daughter, says Tony in there. That one's going to be kicked into Hutch. Boy, Bowden Barrett. Points not safe, boys. 10 more minutes. Who got injured? William Harveli, one of the guys who has been a key for Moana throughout the season. Unfortunately, it was just a really unfortunate accident. Cole Forbes was on attack, ended up falling forward as he lost his footing and just pretty much, like, without knowing the exact injury, but the way that it looked, just snapped Harveli's leg clean in half. Like, from the way that he smashed into his shin. And the time left, please. Still another 10 minutes on the clock, and the Blues are on attack. The deficit is 13, but that's 2 converted tries, and there's still time to play. Need 30 plus before I feel comfortable, says Teona. Now Finley Christie goes back across to the left-hand side. Moana Pasifika still playing with 14 men on the park due to that yellow card of Pipisana Patafilo. Back across to the left-hand side again. Bowden Barrett thought about going for the pass, but instead just takes the contact. Christie to the short side. Off to Josh Berry, who's got a bit of pace for a big man, but the ball is dropped again by the Blues. Their handling and their discipline have been the problem. Great steal from Kurt Eklund, gets the offload away though to Harry Plummer. They are now 10 metres out from Moana Pasifika's line. A bit of individual brilliance from Eklund coming there, who is slow to get back up to his feet, but now he is up. Satutu falling over as he tries to run at the line. There is exhaustion kicking in for these two teams here, and it's who's going to be able to dig deeper. Moana Pasifika defending 5 metres out from their line. The Blues have not been here too often throughout this matchup, but they have managed to score themselves the 2 tries. One was a penalty try. Go Moana, says Fatasi, now passed across to Lachlan McWannell. No penalty advantage. Going against Moana Pasifika. Loose ball. Picked up now for the Blues. Can't pass out wide. AJ Lamb for the corner. Breaks through 2. He's going to be dragged down just short of the try line. Moana Pasifika going for a bit of a counter-ruck, trying to stall and try and build some time to get that defence set over the ball there for Molly, but did lose the footing. Finley Christie goes back across to Kurt Eklund, 2 metres short. They just can't quite find the way through, but I have a feeling they're not too far away from being able to do a bit of a counter-ruck from Moana Pasifika. The next stoppage will mean that they go back to having 15 men on the field, holding up the Blues just short of the line, and they'll go back for the original penalty. Go Moana, says Seneva there. And also we have to give their mate respect for pronouncing the boys' names. Well done, says Johnny Boy. And great defence by Moana. Yeah, they are defending like their season depends on it, and to be honest, it does. If they lose this game, it's a mountain to climb. They'd have to beat the Chiefs and the Highlanders. If they win this, they would only theoretically need one of those 2 wins to make it through. It looks like they're going to take the quick tap, which I believe means that Pipisana Patafilo actually can't make his way back out onto the field as of yet, so they will have to go a little bit longer with defending for 14. Now, only a few metres out from the line, Patrick Tuiapolonu, short ball, Satutu's over, and the Blues have struck back. It is an easy kick as well, which shows just how important those extra couple points could have been. We had a 5-man overlap on the left. Probably is hard worker but lacks brains, says Tony. And we have got there, anyone think Super Rugby defence is rubbish, says Studs. I mean, both of these sides earlier on when they showed their numbers, 93% for one side, 91% for the other in terms of their tackle completion wasn't looking too shabby. Of course, since then it's probably dropped to around that 80% or so. What I'm at says NZ right, but there's still time. 6.5 minutes left. Is this live? It is. Currently just the 6.5 on the clock. Bowden Barrett gets the kick over, and for a brutal last 6 minutes. Exactly right. Moana go back to 15 men twice in this game. They have had only the 14. I'm sweating buckets, lads, says Thunder Fire. Definitely sitting as match of the round so far in terms of the excitement that this game has been able to bring. Hardy and the Moana got threat defence, says Drape. True that, Tony, man. Moana grinding good. Looks like they're home. says Mr. All In. I mean, I think Super Rugby defence is outstanding. Bad comment before, says Studsrow. Now 6 minutes and cracking footy this. Love this stuff. Give it some heat. Amish to bring it home. Says Tony there as well. We certainly know the players are going to be bringing it for the final 6. Kicking deep for Moana so that they can try and stop the Blues from making their way forward. Alan Craig almost got his head on the wrong side there. Could have been going to the HIA bin for a little bit of time. Bowden Barrett going for another kick downfield. He's tried it throughout this game. There have been quite a few ones that haven't been decent, but that one is a good kick, getting Moana back inside of their own half. Springboks should support their neighbours, help them grow rugby in Africa. But no, money, glitch, and glamours is what Rassie want. Says Doc, where'd that come from? Who mentioned the South Africans? Did Artie play the last match between these two teams? He did. It didn't quite have the same impact as well as what it has in this game, but this has been a real team effort from Moana. Yes, Savi has played out of his skin and probably will get man of the match even if his side was to lose, but you know, he's been great for them this season. Score at the moment is 27-21 with 5 minutes remaining on the clock. Bowden Barrett, almost a fumble there from Harry Plummer, who will be dragged down just down from his line. Milani Matavao over the ball for Moana Pasifika, but I think they just lost their footing. No, they've got the counter ruck. The ball's there. Whose ball is it? Ref saying the ball's there, you can use it, but he was looking at both teams, and in the end, AJ Lamb says, okay, I'll get it. And the Blues have kept the possession. What's the score at the moment? The score is 21 points to 27. 4.5 minutes remaining on the clock. Christie, almost hit the ref with that one. It's well handled by Mason Tupaia. Bowden Barrett can't quite sneak through. He's been trying all throughout this game, going short side now. Out to Caleb Clark for his second touch of the half. I've said it once and I'll say it again. They just aren't getting it out. There's a knock on from the Blues in the breakdown. And now Moana Pasifika have the scrum. Bro, please ref, says Thunder there. And Artie is moving into God status. And F me, says distracted. Yeah, just on the ground. Ball lost out of the hands of Caleb Clark, who his support mate says D1. I'm pretty impartial. Or D1997, I should say. That is. But all I can say is this game has been so back and forth that honestly both of them can still win from here. The fact that they're within the 7 means that the Blues, they're getting at least 1 bonus point from this contest, the way that it currently sits. They've had some brilliant attacking moments. And it's all going to come down to, I think, 1 moment in terms of who's going to win this. I know Mason Tobias used to go to my high school. Says Ollie is the best. Now let's go Moana, take it to the limit. Says Thunder Fire, and they have got themselves a scrum feed now with 3 minutes left on the clock here. Putting it in and going off to the left-hand side. Big run from Lalo Milo. Milani Matavao back across to Tupo Taialoa. Dragged down by Dalton Papali. Satutu to get out of it. What's the comment from the referee? Matavao again goes across to Sione Havili Talatui. Matavao, pop ball up from Sam Morley to try and get out of the way of that one. Back across. Seems a little bit stagnant here for Moana, but they don't have to rush this. They've got 3 minutes that they can just try and get themselves the penalty. AJ Lamb, though, onto the ball for the Blues, and he will get the penalty. 2.5 minutes left. They have still got themselves a bit of a chance here, the Blues, but it could all come down to 1 final kick here. Like they've just said, this could be the last chance for this side. They do get the ball into touch. And maybe Artie's men have got this. I don't know whether I would say that just yet. It just seems like there's going to be the late tail, whether or not it's going to be somehow a penalty going the way of Moana where they can kick a 3, or whether the Blues can come through, find a gap in the defence, and get themselves the final last-minute try. It's going to be one of those 2 scenarios. I just don't see the game ending 27 points to 21. I think someone's going to get some form of points. Perhaps it comes down to a boat. What are they doing? Bowden Barrett and Finley Christie. Or in fact, it was AJ Lamb and Finley Christie tackled each other while trying to get a set play going. And the ball was about 15 metres away from them, and they went, you know what? Close enough. That's close for Moana in the breakdown, but they don't get the steal again. Dalton Papali'i Tackled by Tom Savage, who has put in quite the performance. Beauden Barrett going for the kick in behind. It's going to be an awkward one. It goes into the in-goal area. A bit too casual there from Moana. They've taken it back into their in-goal area. If you're Tavita Offa, he just needed to boot that ball. But now it will be a 5-metre scrum for the Blues with 90 seconds remaining. That could be the final moment. Beauden Barrett, it seemed like there was too much on it. Tavita Offa, I don't know what he was doing there. You can see the frustration on the face of Savia, a young player out on the wing, maybe not knowing what to do in that scenario. Way too casual, exactly right. It was a crucial moment that has gone drastically wrong. Like they've said, they cannot give away a penalty try or else that would be the game. So for the Moana Pasifika side, they have to pretty much scrummage like they never have before. There's 40 seconds left in this contest. The Blues need a converted try to win it. A non-converted try would not be enough. But now, ball has gone in. Massive push from Moana. Too much spinning at the scrum. And they're going to have another reset. Chris Apua told to calm down a little bit by the referee. He said, don't say that, please. We're just going to get back into it. 15 seconds now remaining on the clock. A knock-on from the Blues would end this game. A try from them could potentially win it. And a turnover for Moana would be a massive moment for a side that have been considered as underdogs pretty much throughout this whole competition. Non-call by Ghana, as per usual, says Studs Race. Defend from Moana. Says a melee there. But now the clock has struck 80. Much closer than the last time these two sides played, where the Blues were able to win it by a large margin. But in this game, 1 point would still be enough to get them the points on the board. They will go off to the left-hand side. Ta'ele going to be tackled there. 5 metres out from the line. Finley Christie had Beauden Barrett one way. He goes across to Satutu. Looking for the turnover. They're in the breakdown. Moana Pasifika get the penalty. And it's none other than Adi Savia who does manage to get it now. Was it in through the side? Maybe a little bit. But Adi Savia does get the victory. I don't think they've kicked this one into touch yet. They better make sure that this one does not have an Angus Ta'avale situation of trying to boot it and it doesn't find the touchline. Pellegrini is ready to tap this one, kick it into touch. What a machine, yeah. I mean, he's got man of the match well and truly, almost charged down by Harry Plummer, but that is the game. Moana Pasifika win it 27 points to 21. A game that had everyone on the edge of their seats. No one's sitting down at the moment in the stands. They are all up applauding for what these two sides have been able to do. Moana had to dig extremely deep. 2 yellow cards. Savia still trying to fire them up as he's walking next to the stand. And up to Savia says Tom, and Artie was the difference. And holy cracking game, says Distracted Sports. A victory against the odds, including a referee's decisions. A superb win. Bloody brilliant. Made my day. Yes, sir. Cheers, Hamish. And sheesh, good game. Congrats, Moana, says Mr. All and there as well. And it does keep the hopes for Moana Pasifika alive. This was the table heading into this match. The Blues received the bonus point, so they will be on 28. But Moana Pasifika will now move up to 28 points as well. Their points differential is not as good as the Blues. They will have more wins. Now, I know that the URC is based off who has more victories rather than points differential. I'm not actually 100% sure what the tiebreakers are in Super Rugby. I'll just very quickly make sure. So, tiebreakers is most wins. So that means Moana Pasifika, even though their points differential is worse than the Blues, they will now be ahead of them on the standings. Blues have 1 more game. Moana Pasifika have 2. And for the Blues, they've got the Tars. For Moana, they've got the Chiefs and the Landers. So still not an easy road for either of these sides. You'd back the Blues to get a win in that match. But the question is, what can Moana do? Can they cause another massive upset? We have got the Artie for the MVP, says Thunder. And thanks, Hamish. And also Moana ended Auckland's hopes. Not necessarily. If Auckland win their game up against Moana Pasifika, they can now still more than likely make the top 6. They will have to take on one of the big sides in either, at the moment, looking like either the Chiefs, Crusaders, or the Brumbies. Thank you, mate, for the live. Says Pati, no worries at all. Artie Savia, well. Says Kwandele. And thank you, mate, for the live. And which player scored the first? First try of the match was a penalty try. First try scored by a legitimate player was Patrick Tuipulotu. As I don't know whether or not a penalty try... Oh, no, penalty try can be the first try scorer, can't it? In terms of the odds and whatnot. Was Ioane even on the field? That guy's invisible. Says Scrotimus. I saw him more than I saw AJ Lamb at times. Same with Caleb Clark. The Blues have a world-class backline, and it has to be frustrating to watch because they don't use it. You know, you've got Clark returning from 4 weeks off, ready to rumble, ready to get in the action, and he's got Tavita Offa across from him. We saw what Offa did right at the end of the game, and that showed a little bit of inexperience. If you throw Caleb Clark at him full speed, he's probably going to miss that tackle 50% of the time. Didn't happen. Too busy kicking the ball away for the Blues with Bowden Barrett and Taufa Funaki throughout that first half. And maybe, says Maima there, and we have there a good game. I'll see you later at Loftus. Says Gerhard, and Blues forwards are undersized. Says Studs Rays. I mean, they still pack a punch. We see Harvili there in the background. He's actually got a knee brace on, so it could be quite severe for him, unfortunately. But yeah, losing him for the rest of the season would be quite drastic. Game ended right. That is correct. Yes, 27 points to 21. The end score in it. And we have got the Moana the season have beaten the Landers, Crusaders, Hurricanes, and now the Blues. Says Mr. All In. So the only side, that was all in the game. So the only team that they haven't beaten out of the New Zealand sides is the Chiefs. And they are playing them, I believe, next week. So it's not too far away from getting to see it. We have got there finally got the win over the Blues. An impressive Moana Pasifika world-class respect. Says NZ right. Yeah, massive effort coming in throughout this game. And, you know, the Blues at times looked like this game was theirs for the taking. Getting those 2 tries within that yellow card period. But I just, round that halfway line, there was one kick in particular that made me just wonder what the tactics were. And that was when they were 35 metres out from the Moana Pasifika line. Taufa Funaki goes for a box kick and the mark's called by Moana Pasifika as it was kicked into the 22. That kick there kind of showed me just in that middle period, the Blues didn't have that same intent that they've had at times throughout this season. And I feel like those little moments, the Blues, they just let it slip a little bit. And they'll be frustrated. They'll be ready to go, though, for their game in 2 weeks' time. They don't play next week. They've got the Tars, though, in about 14 days. And that is now a must-win because at this current point in time, they are outside of the top 6. He's the best in the world, says Highlanders fan. And there's no one better than Artie right now. And also, this might be the greatest game this season yet. CS Thunder Fire. In terms of the story of it, it certainly had its ups and downs for both of these sides. It was pure emotion at the end from Savi as well for them being able to pick up the win. The celebration is going to be huge tonight, I'm sure, for Moana Pasifika. But then they have to get their minds straight back on next week, where they do go head-to-head with the Chiefs. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. Very soon, we will be scheduling our URC live streams that are taking place later on. The Bulls taking on the Dragons. And then later on at about 5:30 a.m. New Zealand time, it will be the Sharks taking on the Scarlets. Can you explain what happens next week if Moana wins next week and the Blues and Moana win the following week? Says Kiwi Rob. So the way that the table currently sits, both sides are sitting on 28 points as the easy part of it. In terms of the wins under the belt, Moana Pasifika have now got 1 extra over the Blues, which does mean if at the end of the regular season, the Blues and Moana Pasifika are on the same points, Moana would go through. So that is one benefit that Moana Pasifika have at the moment. If they have the same amount of wins at the end of the season, then we look at points differential, which currently is in the Blues' favour. Even with that win, Moana go up to -6, Blues go down to 7 in terms of the points differential. So, of course, next week seeing Moana in action will help us with a little bit more information about how the table will end up sitting. But, yeah, there's still quite a bit that can happen throughout those last 2 rounds of Super Rugby Pacific. But these are all the games remaining, with the exception, of course, of Reds versus Brumbies, which is happening in about 25 minutes' time. But these are all the matches. These are the ones that will determine the top 6, and we'll see exactly who makes their way through. But for Moana Pasifika as well, we should mention, their win here has still kept the door alive for quite a few of these other teams in the comp. The Waratahs still have a chance of making their way through. The Western Force, they still have a chance. Oh, no, actually, Western Force not so much because they can only move up to 26. I take that back. The Force are probably finished at this point. But the Waratahs, they still have a chance of being able to go through. I believe even the Highlanders can still sneak into the top 6 depending on some of the results that we see over the next couple of rounds, which sounds weird to say, but they have got the game in hand over the Force and the Fijian draw as well. Can the Reds possibly win away? Oh, honestly, a few of the Aussie derbies have been extremely close, so I would not be surprised if they can pull off that upset. As Highlanders back in it pretty much for half a second. Depending on what happens, of course, next week for them. They are taking on the Crusaders in Christchurch. That will be quite the tough ask, but if they can somehow sneak the win there, they will still have half a shot. And that's for the commentary, lads. Again, the next match says Thunder Fire. So yeah, we will be starting up in around 3.5 hours time for that next live stream taking place between the Bulls and the Dragons. We are just about to schedule it, but I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you all for the next one.